Giovanni, I appreciate it, bro. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, bro. I'm excited, dude.
Yeah, man.
I'm excited, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I think we're gonna touch on a lot of cool conversations, and
I want to talk to you about your freaking directing project, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm interested. I saw that little interview style, little Kickstarter thing you had.
Yeah. I mean, so it's called The World We Once Knew. It's a post-apocalyptic film. It follows the story of a brother and a sister, and basically trying to keep their kids alive in the midst of turmoil. And there's a lot of challenges that go into it. A lot of grief, loss. They go through a lot of difficulties, and the ending is very, very sad.
Sad.
Yeah, it's very sad. So
man.
Yeah, it's not a happy ending. So it's like one of those things where
going for more like realism.
Yeah, exactly. That's always been my thing. I'm very much like, a movie takes me out if it's not realistic, or a TV show takes me out if it's not realistic. And I guess it's one of those things where I appreciate real world scenarios. And in real world scenarios, not everybody makes it. You know what I mean? And a lot of times, like you have to deal with that. Yeah. And loss is legit, and it's unfortunate, but it is the reality. And I think films and TV shows that portray that just really, I don't know, for me, is what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Like when I see something like that in a film, I'm like, it just draws at me.
That's the stuff that speaks to you.
Yeah, it speaks to me for sure. Yeah.
Okay. No, it's interesting. I think film is like the perfect medium to explore any different scenarios, emotions, even like real life events that happen and stuff to you, or some big, known event in the world and stuff. So a film that they decide that that's what they want to explore, that sadness in a story, as opposed to just, formulating a story with, say, this post-apocalyptic event, but they end it with some solstice, some good, hey, there's some green, even though it can be a wasteland. But a film that decides, hey, I want to portray this because that is emotion that's raw, it's real. People, there's people to listen to that. There's an audience for that. And sometimes touching on that note really gets that theme that they're going for and expresses it the right way. So it's interesting you want to do a post-apocalyptic film just because those are pretty like scaled, you got to have like extras, definitely a crew and team and stuff like that. But man, when you pull it off, people like that. People like, because there's this interestingness in it, and it's a fictional world that like it's cool to explore.
Yeah, it's something that obviously Robert is the executive producer, and we have been having a fun time, I'll say, like really making this happen, because it's like you said, it's a lot of work. There's a lot of practical effects, a lot of location scouting, a lot of,
I can imagine, for post-apocalyptic.
A lot of like costume design, like it has to look real. You know what I mean? Like you can't roll up with a 2025 Tacoma in the shot that's that just got washed. Like you need beater, you need beater cars. You need,
at the minimum, it has to have dirt and say "wash me."
Yeah, exactly. Like you can't, the roads can't be used, you know what I mean? Like you have to go somewhere.
It's everything.
Yeah, it's everything. Like it has to look very realistic. So that's what we're trying to ground the film in realism. And obviously it's a challenge, but it's a fun challenge, and I think it's been a journey for sure, making it happen. I'm just very grateful. I'm very grateful and humbled because my goal the last 2 years leading up to this, when I got into the program, was just to try to prove to people that I could be trusted, and that I could be someone that they can rely on. And I worked so hard in building that, so that way when the time came that I needed to like call on them to be a part of this project or commit to this type of production, people were on board and people saw the vision and they were like, yeah, I believe that you can do it. So it's been a very humbling experience, and it honestly makes me very emotional, because it's just like one of those things that in the moment you don't know, you know what I mean? Like you go through things and you're just like, damn, like am I am I working hard enough? Do people see the effort that I'm trying to put into it? Do people see the integrity that I'm trying to like lead with? And to come 2 years down the road and see that all that work led to this, and you know, a lot of people have come on board and are very supportive. It's been really, really nice. And I'm just very grateful because without the team that we've put together for this, it's not going to happen.
Anything.
You can't do anything.
No, and I think, like you said, when you say the past 2 years, the thing you've been building your reputation.
Yeah.
Right? You've been building, like, this is who I am. And now I think the directing class is a great opportunity to, like, okay, now it's time for me to show, hey, I like film. I'm a part of this. I want to create something good. Yeah. I want to create something that people like, but it's a teamwork thing. You can't do it alone. And so that's your time to, like, call on people. And the best director are the ones that, exactly you said, showing effort, showing that this is something you want to do, this is something you care about, and that you're treating your people right. Yeah. You know, because that's what you kind of need. You need them to, like, focus and, like, trust, and everyone put their hard work and effort into this. And you know, that shows the love back, is when you treat them right. You know, you're the one focused, because it's at the end of the day, it's kind of all up to you. You know, everyone's going to look up to you for answers and stuff like that. So if that's the heart you have, that's the mentality you have, you got the right one. Yeah. You know, you're coming at it not like, okay, how can I do this for a grade, or how can I do this just to pass the class or just to have something on screen? Like, what's the point of going that half-assed effort when, I mean, use this opportunity to make something big and something interesting, like a post-apocalyptic. I guarantee you no one else is going to do that. Yeah. Right? And the kind of vision you have for it is everything on the screen, you want it to be with purpose. You know, like you said, a car that passes by is like, okay, how can we avoid that? You know, because you got to think outside the box. You got to be like, okay, now that means what type of locations we're looking for. You know, what type of stuff in it. And it's an interesting process how films are made, because it's not like a 9 to 5. Yeah. You got to, like, get into weird ways of thinking and opportunistic. You got to ask people. It's an interesting world, but the people that have that motivation, that energy, that hungriness, they go far. And people see that. You know, people see that and be like, yeah, I like this guy because he works hard on set. He's hungry. He's like a problem solver. You know. And I mean, that's the type of people you gotta get surrounded with, and I think your team is like that. So. I'm super grateful. Like I said, super grateful, super blessed, and just super humbled, to be honest, because, you know, like I said, it's just one of those things where to get the team that I got to commit and to buy into the vision, I'm very grateful. I'm very excited for the process, and you know, I'm just glad that people have put their trust in me to lead this. It feels good, and to make it happen. But enough about that. Let's talk about what got you into film. Like, what really got you? If there's a moment, because sometimes, like, the way it happens is, like, sometimes, like, you know, people want a moment. Like, what was the moment that you knew, like, you were gonna be a filmmaker, you were gonna get into film? At least for me, most of my life, like, experiences usually don't happen like that. Like, it's a collection of things that happen. You know, something happened here, another thing happened here, a door was open here. It's not an instance. And then I realized, oh, this is what I want to do. You know what I mean? Was that your experience, or was your experience more like, no, I knew, like, when this happened, I knew this was gonna be something. No, just like you said, most of my experiences in life are a collection. It's never instantaneous. You know? This was one of those times where it was instantaneous. I see a lot of people, they've loved film for a long time, right? Yeah. They've appreciated, whether it's like movies or like photography or anything, kind of all aspects of film. Generally, people, they've kind of liked it for a long time, and they get into it after a while. Me, I kind of just found out about it specifically during, like, COVID time. Okay. Around then, I just started watching a lot of movies, and specific Stanley Kubrick films. Okay. I absolutely fell in love. I fell in love. Something about his films really called to me. In specific, I really saw him, the director, because I really question, whoever made this, like, why did they make it in this way? Who was the leader? Who was the person that thought this through? And usually all those answers come back to the director. The director tends to be the visionary. Yeah. And so I started watching more of his films. And
what are some of the films that Stanley Kubrick has directed?
He's made The Shining, 1980. It's a pretty popular horror movie. Yeah. He's made 2001: A Space Odyssey. Okay. That one came out before we even landed to the moon. Yeah, it's like a space odyssey film.
That's the one. That film actually in one of, like, either Film Appreciation or intro to film, we watch that film. So
it tends to be a common film like that.
Yeah,
just because it's different from most of the films, and because it's in the 60s, it's way different from what we watch nowadays. Yeah. But nonetheless, you can feel that scale. You feel like it's an artist working. Yeah. And just how you would see like a painting like Picasso or Leonardo da Vinci is, that there's something there. And sometimes you can't just get it from watching it for a second. You just need to let it make you feel. Right. And I think at the end of the day, that's why we appreciate art, is because it makes you feel, right? And that's what I got from watching his films, and it just turned into like the production side of it. I started getting interested in other directors and other films and stuff like that. Just the art of cinema in general is what really called to me. And I started realizing that this is a career that I want to get into. I want to learn more about cameras. I want to, start script writing. I want to get into the production of things. And it all kind of led from there. So
nice.
I've learned that I have a passion for film.
Yeah.
And all things in specific cinema and stuff. I just really like the medium and the opportunity that medium can bring you, Yeah. Because at the end of the day, humans, we're storytellers, and we like to hear stories. Yeah. And we reflect on them. We think about them. We adapt them to our life. You think about that one story or that one movie you saw about this character and how they interacted with their mom or their dad. And you think about, your own relationship. You
internalize those things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's life. That's what happens when you
see things. It's what we do. It's like every time, like anytime you hear a message, right? And it's like you hear like a motivational speech, or you hear somebody talk about someone going through something. A lot of times you internalize that if you're going through it. You're like, I remember a moment where I was in that situation, or I'm in that situation right now, and it resonates with you. And it just is one of those things where like, different things speak to you at different times. Like when you hear a song, there's certain times where like I hear a song and it doesn't resonate with me because the lyrics of the song aren't what I'm going through at the moment, or not something I've experienced yet. And then there's other times where I hear a song and it just brings me to tears because I'm just like, fuck, dude. Like that's what I'm going through right now. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's a challenge. It's definitely one of those things that you were saying, like storytelling is part of being human. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's, one reason why people go to church is to reflect, to feel that, to like you say, internalize that. So like in a way, film is kind of like my church, it makes me feel, it makes me, understand life in a way that words can't replicate, Yeah. And so I just love the opportunity, like I said, that film gives you. And there's just so many mediums to it. There's so many different ways to take it. Like this one, a podcast where you can just kind of speak a message, or you can make a story, like a film, and speak the message through there. So the creation of it is really what I fell in love with. So ever since moving out here to San Antonio, it's just all I've been doing, just trying to be a filmmaker. So
nice. So where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Houston, Houston, Texas, H-Town.
Nice.
Born and raised there, lived all my life. My family, my mom's from Mexico, my dad is too. Okay. So they came over here, and I was born over there. And when I was younger, my aunts and my uncles, they came from Mexico, and they would live in my house. Okay. Because my mom was the first of the sisters to get her citizenship. Okay. To come over here. She was the first to make the bounce and stuff. So as a kid, I grew up, I had my cousins living in my house. There's probably like 15, 16 of us in a 1-story, 3-bedroom house. My bedroom was in my mom's closet. Yeah. Right? It was a walk-in closet, luckily. But I would wake up, and the first thing I would see was her clothes, just hanging out below me and stuff. So I grew up a lot with family. That's awesome. With family and stuff. So, I don't have any brothers, so I just got sisters. So I'm a little bit more on the sensitive side. Like I got a big heart. Yeah. So like when I watch something very thoughtful, very emotional, and it touches on that string, I get tearful, especially with movies.
Bro, I am.
But I like that. I want to feel. It's important to feel.
I'm so glad you say that, because like that resonates with me a lot. Like I grew up with all brothers, but the two biggest influences in my upbringing was my mom and my grandmother. So I feel like most of what I was hearing in regards to like advice, wisdom, communication wise, were from them, from women. And I truly believe that has instilled a level of like empathy and like just my ability to like feel emotions is just, I feel like it's different sometimes.
That's for sure.
Like sometimes I get very emotional about things. I'm like, dude, why are you so fucking emotional about it? And it's just like you said, I had to learn to love that. Like you said, like I love to feel things now, and I'm okay with it, and I'm okay with expressing that. I'm okay with telling people like,
that's important.
Hey, this is how I feel. You know what I mean? Like I'm going through something right now, or you know what I mean? I really appreciate the way you did that, or I love how you overcome things, or I'm just grateful that you're my friend. You know what I mean? It's become it's allowed me to be genuine in my conversations with people, because I don't go into it anymore thinking like, how are they gonna view me? How are they gonna, take this if I tell them like I'm grateful, or that I'm going through something, or that I'm dealing with something. You know what I mean? Like it took me some time to kind of like learn that, because I feel like I was very, I put up a wall as a child, so I wouldn't like get hurt or feel certain things.
Yeah, you protect yourself.
Yeah, it's like you protect yourself, because you're like, fuck, dude, like I'm tired of every single time I put my faith in somebody, they just walk away and leave me to like figure it out. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's just one of those things where like as you get older, you can either continue that, or you could recognize like, oh, I don't want to be like that. Yeah, I'm not gonna grow old with a bunch of bitterness and resentment towards other people.
That's big that you say that, because yes, you never know when in life that's gonna encounter you, right? Yeah. It happens when you're young, or it can happen when you're older. It could never happen, you know? So it's good that, you take that understanding of that moment, and you see like, hey, this is the way I am, and other people aren't like that, right? Because they grew up a different way. They had their own experiences and stuff. So it's all about developing your own balance within yourself, within your own mentality, your own philosophy, if you want to extend it to that. Yeah. How you can kind of, because we're all social creatures, so it's how you interact with that. And it's very big, I think, telling people, hey, I appreciate you. Hey, I'm proud of you. That word proud, man, it does... It's a heavy word, and it could really incentivize a lot. It can be what that person needed that day, or needed, around that time. So I think it's good to tell people, hey, how you're feeling to a degree. Tell them you appreciate them, hard your work, and we're in this together. Especially now that you're doing your film, it's like that. It's good that you have that mentality, as opposed to someone that doesn't express it that way, and people can see you as a bit hard and dull, when if that's not who you really are inside, then there's kind of like a imbalance there. But yeah, like we were saying, definitely the films that really got me into is Stanley Kubrick. His films just really called to me, and after that I got into like a huge director dive hole, and I started watching Brian De Palma, David Fincher, David Lynch. Tarantino is generally the most popular director in the youth right now. Just filmmakers in general. I try to like consume all different types of film, and how one thinks this way. Why does this one think that way? Yeah. Why does he twist the story in this way? What's the purpose? What does that give you? So there's a lot of themes and symbolism to film. And I love discovering how things are done. Yeah. And then seeing how I can replicate that, but in my way. In your own way, in my own unique language, my voice. So.
Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, I think one of the things since becoming a film major that I've learned, I never went down that rabbit hole or was that interested in it. I enjoyed watching films and doing things along that lines, but I never understood the nuances of it. And when I got into this major and I started working on productions and I started, watching videos on my own to like edify and educate myself on like, okay, what's the role of a director? What is the purpose of these camera angles or these transitions or whatever the case may be? And when you hear, like you said, it's a philosophy. You know what I mean? Each director has their own type of philosophy of how they want to do things. And I remember listening to like an interview with Christopher Nolan, and a lot of his films have really stood out to me. I think
he's one of the greats. Yeah, he's definitely the modern Spielberg. Like he does the big movies, blockbusters.
Yeah, one of my best friends, she that's her favorite director, and so I started like, and then it was we had a conversation, and I was like, yeah, I don't think I've seen a lot of Christopher Nolan films. And then she was like, oh, you got to watch these. And I was like, I started watching them and I was like, wow, this is really good. And just to see the way he goes about things and the way he twists things. There was one film we watched. I want to make sure I get it correct. I think it's called Memento.
Memento. That's his second movie he made.
We had to watch that one in Intro to
Guy
Cinema.
Pearce, I think his name is.
Yeah, that movie's
crazy.
Cool. That movie's crazy.
Yeah, because you know how movies start from A to Z? That movie is a C. It shows you the past and then the beginning and then what's next. So, like, you just being a regular movie watcher, the way you watch the movie is already flipped on the script, right?
You were so confused.
Exactly. But there's some detectiveness in there that you just blindly want to piece together. Yeah. And in a way, the way the film is, because you watch a film the first time, you're not going to know what the fuck happened. Yeah. You're going to be like, okay, what happened? Yeah. You need to do it second, maybe even a third time, right? But you know there's something there, and there's an appreciation I have for that artistry, even though, like, I can't break the vault. I can't deny it's a really well-built vault, right? And I like how someone thought of that. Someone had to create the story.
You said was... That's his second film, bro.
Second.
Like, not even, it's not like he had been doing it for, a decade or something. Second film, and you dropped that.
And that's what he's dropping.
That's the best.
He dropped that second film.
It's like, yo, this dude's about to set the standard.
This guy's he's destined for greatness. Yeah. And then this guy's the one that made Oppenheimer. He's making the Odysseus movie. Yeah. Which the IMAX actually got sold out here in San Antonio.
It's so crazy because, like, his range is pretty broad. Like, he's made Batman. Yeah. He's made Inception. He's made, like you said, Oppenheimer, Memento. They're working on the Odyssey right now. There's another film that is similar to Memento where, like, there's a lot of like time jumps. I forgot what it was called.
It's probably with Insomnia with Al Pacino and Robin Williams. That one, I'm not too sure if they break the story a lot, but because he has insomnia, he misses some things. He forgets some things. Okay. It could be that one. Maybe
that. No, I haven't seen that one. Oh, it was Tenet.
Oh, Tenet. Tenet is crazy.
Tenet is crazy.
Because, like, things are going forward, but at the same time, things are going backwards.
Exactly. Christopher Nolan's ability to, like, have 3 different plot points going at once, and not like it's almost like it's confusing, but it's also like moving in the right direction. And, like, at the end of the film, you're like, how did this come together? Yeah. It is crazy how he does that.
No, I mean, you really, when you see his process to films, it's like he breaks it down, like, into the individual puzzle pieces, right? And he's going to have to put them all together. Imagine putting a 10,000 puzzle piece together and you're just looking at the individual ones. It's going to take you a long time, but at the end, like, it all fits and it's structured. Yeah. And with Tenet, a lot of the times people watch the movies and it's the same thing with Mentor. You're not going to know what the fuck's going on the first time you watch it. But even in the second or third time, you have an understanding, but that only helps you so much. Yeah. Because the story he's trying to tell you is just so big. Yeah. There's too many puzzle pieces that it's hard to mentally break it down and to understand everything. But you know it's there. You know everything's working. And that's something that, only somebody to the caliber of Nolan can kind of do, he proves that he's a real filmmaker.
Yeah. No, yeah.
He's taking on these hard movies. How many people are willing to take on such a challenging movie like that and work on it, hammer it down until it's polished? Yeah. And it's like, okay, this is the movie.
And not only that, but he is so big on, like, practical effects. Mm-hmm. Like, not a lot of the stuff that he does is special effects or After Effects. Like, this is practically happening on set. And when you watch Tenet and you see them, like, crash a plane, it's like, bro, how are we doing this? Yeah. Like, how many takes did you get? You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy to see how that comes to fruition. Because when I learned about that, it's like, okay, so a lot of this stuff is not done in post. A lot of this is done on set. Mm-hmm. It's
what you're saying is what they film.
Yeah. And which is crazy because, like, you're saying, not only is he taking a 10,000 piece puzzle and putting it together, but doing it in a way that it has to be done on set, on the camera, in production, where you have to work against time. There's money on the line. How many times can you crash the airplane? You got to take that in one, maybe 2 takes. So you got to have everything set,
extra batteries, you know, everything's good, you know. You gotta, it's one thing being the visionary director, but also in a way he's kind of in charge of all those people in general. So it's like being a business sort of person and understanding that, I mean, film, it's a business commodity. It's an artistic interpretation. It's integrity. It's art, but it's a business commodity too. So the best directors get to that level where they can balance that, you know, and they can get to a point where like they can ask the studios, hey, I want to film this movie, but I want to crash a plane. Like, and he warrants that, and he's like, okay, we're actually gonna give it to you. You and me can't ask for that. We ain't never gonna get that. It's cool to see someone get to that level, and nonetheless, he's still climbing. You know? So it's really cool to see that. If you want to see some like behind the scenes of some of his practical effects, my favorite one that he's done was in the third Batman movie. Okay. The scene with Bane where the plane is kind of like falling.
Oh, yeah.
That one, when you see how they filmed it, it's absurd,
really?
Dude.
Oh, my God.
It's absurd. That crazy. Scene is really, really cool.
Yeah,
the behind the scenes. Because there's literally like a plane kind of hanging.
Yeah. I know exactly what scene you're talking about. I think I saw it the other day.
Yeah. And they're high up in the air. And just imagine just organizing that. You know, imagine just even to the point of just having that in the script and saying this is what we're gonna film. Yeah. Imagine the people like, how are we even gonna do this?
That's crazy.
How do you even start? You know?
Yeah, like I'm like seeing like little clips. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
It's wild.
That's crazy. Yeah. No, I mean, and it's pretty cool. I mean, the beautiful thing is like individuals like that pioneer the way. You know what I mean? And they open up opportunities for other people to come behind them and be like, okay, let's take this to another level, or like, let me do this in a way, like you said earlier, that implements my unique style. You know what I mean? Like there's so many things that now, when people open up doors like that, it's like, okay, it could be done. You know what I mean? And I think that's probably why he's so revered and respected, because it's like, you know, the opportunities are there. You just have to, like you said, problem solve them. Yeah. It's super cool. Yeah.
100%. I think one reason why, in specific me, I guess, people are so called to directors is that uniqueness, right? Because movies are so common nowadays, and they have been for the past, say, like 60, 70 years. And there's a movie for anything, right? Yeah. And because streaming has made movies so accessible, people watch movies very easily, not with a lot of thought. There's not a lot of sacrifice or weight they're bringing into it. They're just at home. It's their day off. They're just turning on the TV, watching Netflix, right? And because of so many films and so many ways to consume media, I think the thing that separates directors is that uniqueness. Having someone watch the film and it feels this way, it looks.
You know it's their film,
and even if you don't know it's their film and you don't know anything about directors, because the general person, they probably know actors more than anything, right? Oh, Leonardo DiCaprio, they watch and like, why was this one different? Right? Why was Django different from The Aviator, Catch Me If You Can, or even the Titanic? Right? Is it because Leonardo DiCaprio was younger back then? Maybe, but not exactly. The feeling, you know, the approach to telling the story. I think is what's gonna have people watch your film, pay for your film. And so if that's your mentality coming in, even from the beginning, making your short films, like that's the way you grow to develop your language. You know, that's why people are gonna ask for Chris and not for this person and for that person. You know, and I think you really learn a lot about yourself too. You know, maybe it's something you're really, really good at, or maybe like how you're saying, how you feel in the moment really has a big expression on your films, you know? Just kind of how like someone would say like Taylor Swift, her music, when she breaks up with someone, that's the best music. It's kind of that sort of approach. So it's really amazing to see this world. And it's very nuanced, like you said before. So it's not something you catch immediately. It's something when you really grow an appreciation for that art, you look more in depth to it. And now those are the things you find. And those are the things that hook you on and kind of remind you, oh yeah, this is the world I like. This is the world I feel good in. I feel confident. I enjoy it. And the want for more only shows you that, you know, you're in the right place. So
what keeps you optimistic and like resilient during challenging times? Like I'm sure there's been times where like when you were directing your film, or you know, personal things going on in your life, what has helped you overcome those things?
Personally, I'm pretty hard on myself. Like, I kind of flip the script on things. If I'm doing something and it's not working out to how I want it, or the world's against me, and even though I know, hey, it's not my fault, I don't like to approach things that way. I like to kind of think like there's something I can do.
Yeah.
There's something I can do,
Yeah.
right? There's no,
I love it.
like, there's nothing there's an option I can take.
Yeah.
Most of the time you don't know what that is,
it, yeah.
right? And it
It's
takes some
like-
inner searching. Sometimes you don't find the answer. Sometimes the answers are very apparent. It's very situational, but I think the principle is really what matters.
It's like a how can I type of attitude instead of like I can't type of attitude.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, I'm in this situation. Regardless of how the fuck I got here, I'm here.
I'm here.
And how can I get out of this or turn this around to learn from it and not let this be a hindrance?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas like a lot of times people take the I can't attitude and it's like, oh, well, I'm in the situation and there's no way of like solving it, or there's no way of overcoming it, and there's nothing I can do. I can't navigate this. You know what I mean? Yeah, I love that. I love that attitude.
I just feel so uncomfortable blaming things, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like people will look at me and think a certain way when that's not a representation of who I am inside.
Yeah,
So I kind of say, okay, like you said, I'm in the situation. How can I work with it? How can I get out of it still being in the green? Or how can I get out of it without it breaking me too much, you know? Because at the end of the day, you know, if it's a situation that's not going to kill me, it's not going to destroy my life, it's all a mentality challenge.
Yeah.
So it's how I face the problem in my mind, with
Yeah.
my heart, you know. And I think patience is big, man. Patience is good to like take a second, breathe, you know, and really understand what the decision is you're going to make, or, you know, think about how other people will see the situation, you know, because most of the times it's not just you that's in it. It's someone else has some stake in it too.
Yeah.
And it's good to like understand their position, because I don't want to screw people over.
No.
I'm not in this world to hurt people,
Yeah.
right? And you know, some situations can be real muddy and stuff.
Yeah.
There's never an easy answer, but
Yeah. That's so beautiful. Like the fact, like it makes me feel good to know that somebody else has that perspective. Like, not only do you go into situations realizing like how I can overcome this, but you look at other people being affected by it as well, and like I don't want, like, you take them into consideration as well with the decision you're making that you're doing. And that's so like that level of maturity and wisdom is I just great to hear, you know what I mean? Because it's one of those things where like a lot of people don't take that approach. It's a lot about like, okay, I'm in this situation, how do I get myself out? How do I stop the pain for myself? And then you look back and realize like, oh, a lot of people ended up catching like the shrapnel, or you know what I mean, had to deal with the effects of what this decision or position that I was put in, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't take into consideration anybody else, you know what I mean? And that is, to hear that, so refreshing, because you know, at least in my experiences, there's been a lot of times where like I run into situations like that, or I see people in situations like that, where it's like you are not even taking into consideration how the other person feels, or how this might affect them, or even willing to hear their perspective. You could vehemently disagree. You could vehemently disagree. You know what I mean? You can like hear their perspective and be like, I don't even understand how you came to that conclusion, but I respect you enough
to listen,
and to at least give you the opportunity to express it, and to tell you like, I disagree, but I understand how you came to that conclusion. Yeah.
And I like that you say that, because you do two things when you do that, right? One of them, if you want to look at it from a selfish perspective, right? Why would I sit here and hear this other person? Let's just say it's politics, because politics is a real muddy thing, right?
Yeah.
It's really hard to have an easy conversation with politics,
Yeah.
right? Say this person is saying the opposite side of you, right?
Yeah.
You can sit there and at least listen to him to just see what my enemy is thinking, if you want to see it that way, right?
Yeah.
And know what they're thinking. But at the other thing that you're doing is you're giving them the opportunity to speak. That does something for them. That makes them feel like they have a presence here, that they're not ignored, that they have some level of voice. I don't think it's their motivation to try to, get you on their side or anything, but it's good to just listen and give people that platform, even if you just completely disagree.
Yeah.
And you do that for the other side, right?
Yeah.
I think when you learn to look at the world from both sides, because the sun, I guess you can look at a science, analogy. The earth is here and the sun is over here. It shines only on one side of the earth. Yeah. But the earth is a sphere.
Yeah.
So it's good to look at things as a sphere. See, you're seeing it from one side, but there's probably another side that you have no light on.
Yeah.
So go and know what that side is. Hear what that side has to say. Maybe it'll change how your side is. But guess what? If you do investigate that, you do learn that. You give the time for that. Yeah. You see the world. You see the sphere. And you don't just see one face of the circle. You see the sphere for what it is. And then you're just more knowledgeable. You have more, at that point, experience to make a decision, because now you know the sphere and you see all the angles. So I think that's at least you can do with people is listen to them and give them the opportunity to speak. Yeah. And me, just generally, I love humans. I love what people have to say. So it's not a real difficult thing to kind of do, but it's definitely important when you're out in the wild, especially when you meet people, because the first time you meet somebody is very important. Be respectful, give them the opportunity, especially in film, because you want to network, you want to see if maybe there's a person that can invite you to their set, or you can invite them to the set. So it's all about being a social person,
You said so many good things there. I think like what you said about only seeing one side of the light. And one thing that you touched on earlier was like having patience. Because you just got to let that thing come around so you can see the other side. You know what I mean?
You got to let the world, rotate.
Yeah.
And that takes time.
And because a lot of times you don't want, you know what I mean? Like the first thing you see is not the full picture, like you're saying, you know what I mean? Like I'm only seeing the side that has been lit up right now. And there's a whole nother side that needs to still be revealed. So I have the full picture of what I'm actually dealing with. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't allow that to happen. And I think, the other thing that you said that was so profound was, allowing people to express themselves, because there's a saying, and I mean, I don't know if it's cliche or like other people know it as well as I do, but I say it all the time. It's like, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. You know what I mean? And it's like, if they don't know that you care about them, or that you have their genuine interest at heart, they don't care what you have to say. You know what I mean? Like, they need to know that you genuinely care about them. You know what I mean? Because if they have a level of, like a wall built up, nothing you say is gonna resonate with them. You know what I mean? Like, you're just your words are just bouncing back. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be able to build a bridge to where they're at, and walk together and collectively understand each other. Mm-hmm. And that's why, like, I love that quote, because it's so true. It's like, you can tell somebody something till you're blue in the face, or they can tell you something till they're blue in the face. If neither of you get the feeling or the understanding of like, oh, this person is telling me this because they genuinely want what's best for me, it's never going to resonate with them, and it's not going to matter. Yeah. And I think, and I've tried to live by that, because it's like, it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't matter how much I tell you something. If you don't recognize that I want what's best for you, or that I truly love and care for you, it doesn't matter. Yeah. It's not going to resonate.
No, that's huge. I think because you never know the person you're talking to, if they have a wall or not. You don't know what people go through and stuff. And so just having that principle of, hey, I want to build a bridge between us, right? Is already showing that you're off on the right note, And it's, like you said, important to be patient, because sometimes that person isn't ready. Maybe you are doing everything right and you are building that bridge. You're extending your hand, but the other side isn't reciprocating. Most of the time, you just have to continue it. Be consistent. Be patient, and show that, hey, I'm here. I'm still going to be here today, tomorrow, the next day. And that shows the level of care that, like, oh, wow, this person really cared about, me or what was happening and stuff like that. So it's, I think if you want to be in the film industry, or you want to just be a good person in general, being a social person helps a lot, because if you're right mentality, people can trust you a lot, because the way you carry yourself is very transparent. Mm-hmm. You're very open with how you speak, with the way you think, and your goals. people will build that trust with you very easily,
Yeah.
you know, and they'll have faith in you.
Yeah.
And that's going to do you a lot, especially when you want to make your own productions, you want to do your own thing. You call on these people to help you. They're going to be there because they all these things you've shown them, all the traits are, you know, good stuff. So
yeah. I think another thing that you had touched on that really resonated with me was when you said, like, you know, you don't want to judge or have an opinion about someone without hearing what they had to say. And I feel like that resonated with me because I feel like I've been a victim of that like so many times.
People are quick to judge nowadays. Man.
And it's not, I don't know if judging or if like, I think perception is probably a better word. Their perception of who you are before they meet you, is probably a lot different. You know what I mean? Like, and I've worked tirelessly to give people that type of respect. Like, to my perception of them, I try not to gauge it off of what I see or what other people have told me. I want to meet you and I want to have a conversation with you and I want to develop rapport, because I have been told so many times, and it's hilarious, and it's like, you know, it's just a reality. Like, when people talk to me, they're like, you're nothing like what I thought you were going to be. Like, a lot of times I feel like the initial image that people get is like some douchebag, like fucking like gym bro who's so arrogant and
don't talk to me.
Exactly, like has no level of like self-awareness. And then I talk to people, and it's happened so many times. They're like, bro, you're like, this is not what I expected. And I remember, and I was talking to somebody one time, and this is a girl that I was really into, and she was like, when I met you, I did not think this is what I was gonna get. She was like, you're a sweetie pie, and nobody had ever called me a sweetie pie before in my life. It was probably the nicest thing anyone has ever called me. I was like, a sweetie pie. Like, I didn't, you know what I mean? I don't know why it resonated with me so much, but it felt so good. Yeah, it was like, because she was like, when I first met you, you looked like so standoffish and like, and
so serious.
Yeah, and it was like, you know, and she was like, but getting to know you and getting to talk to you, like, I've realized you care a lot. And like I said, it like goes back to one of the conversations we had in the very beginning. You know what I mean? Like, I intentionally try to do that, and I intentionally try to work on that, so people feel that. And, you know, like I said, I'm very humble, because at times, like, you know, when I hear that, it's super nice to know that, you know, it's like I said, you do things and you question sometimes. You're like, am I doing enough? Or like you said, you're hard on yourself. You know what I mean? And it resonated with me, because I recognize, like, I'm very hard on myself. And I think I'm overthinking so many things in regards to, like, could I have handled that situation better? Could I have approached this person differently? Did I see it from their perspective? You know what I mean? And I always try to navigate things with the other person in mind. And it's just, you know, it is very taxing at times, because like I said, when you're hard on yourself and you're constantly thinking about ways that you could have gotten better, you very seldom do you get the chance to sit back and like reflect and be grateful and you know, talk to yourself and be like, you've done a great job.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, the P word, proud, bro.
Yeah.
Big.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, because you're hard on yourself, one needs to kind of create a sort of balance, right?
Yeah.
Because when I say hard on myself, I don't mean in a sense that I blame myself. I have a victim mentality. Yeah. It's more or less kind of like how you were getting at, is when you self-reflect and you ask these questions, right? And a lot of the times you're asking these questions because you want to change what happened. Yeah. You already know the answer, right? And it's just that feeling, that momentary feeling of you, man, I wish I could have done it differently, or how would I have done it differently? But over time, these feelings kind of like collect as a rock, and this weight kind of comes in, and it reinforces, okay, these are the things I've felt. These are the things that I've gone through, and you want to find ways to not feel this weight. How can I change my philosophy, my mentality, how I act to make sure that these situations don't come up again, you know? And that your attitude really plays a big role in that, you know? And like you said, you have a big heart. That's why you kind of think of other people. You know, it's not just you in the situation, is the people around you and stuff. And that only comes from having a big heart and having love, you know. Because at the same time, not a lot of people know how to express that love too. And so it's important to kind of read the room and things and understand how you are and stuff like that, and how you can kind of treat others and stuff, you know.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate. Like I said, I think that like if I had to sum my life up in one sentence, I think it'd be like, I'm very fortunate to have had certain individuals in my life. And I think, I don't know, I think growing up, there was a lot of void in that, like, I didn't have someone that I felt I could look up to, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't have somebody, at least not a male figure, you know what I mean? Like, I have a lot of admiration and love and respect for my mom, and she's amazing. But it's different when you're a boy growing up, you know what I mean? Like,
it's a different kind of love.
Yeah. And you look for a male role model, and I think I spent so many years as a young boy trying to find that and trying to understand, you know, what it is to be a man, and ultimately like what it is to grow older and have integrity, have respect. And I've just been like I said, I've been very fortunate that throughout my life, people have come in and guided me and given me, you know, words of encouragement, wisdom. And, you know, I think at this point, you know, like you said, like, you have a big heart. And I was like, I think it's intentional. I just try to be intentional. You know what I mean? Like, I try to be intentional in building relationships and truly letting people know that, you know, I care and that I value our relationships, because I know how much that's meant for me. You know what I mean? Like, in different situations in life, you know, people have done that for me, and it's gotten me through, and it's really allowed me to grow. And I think also I read a lot of scripture, and I think that a lot of scripture has also allowed me to take that approach. You know what I mean? Like,
wisdom.
Yeah. Like, there's a lot of wisdom in the Bible, and a lot of things that if you implement into your life can really change the trajectory of where you're going. You know, whether it's the Psalms or the Proverbs or, you know, the teachings of Jesus. I think there's so many things that just allow you to grow. You know what I mean? Like we talked about, there's always going to be situations where, whether it's self-inflicted or you found yourself in it without any doing of your own, you have to navigate that. Yeah. And if you navigate it with bitterness and resentment, you are going to never have a level of peace that allows you to grow and move forward. Yeah. But if you are able to find grace and forgiveness and ultimately recognize that you can overcome these things, it is so much more like you just have a level of peace within you, and you're able to just like move forward. You know what I mean? And I think that there's just, you know, you get to choose in life. You get to choose, am I going to be a fucking bitter asshole and just like we talked about earlier, like victimize myself in all situations and have no consideration for anybody else? Or am I going to allow myself to look at things in a nuanced perspective and have a level of like maturity and recognize that there, in certain situations, I was the problem. In certain situations, I made a mistake. In certain situations, I was the one who was victimized. But in every situation, I can learn, be resilient, and persevere. Yeah.
It's interesting you brought up the Bible, because there's a lot of words of wisdom there. And even if you're not religious, right? Yeah. You can still learn a lot, because there's words, there's stories, it's you know, problems that humans have encountered and how they've dealt with them. And even if you're not a religious person, there's a great philosophy you can integrate into your life. Yeah. And I mean, like you said, it was all true. Like if you navigate your life all bitter and filled with hate, and you don't know you're doing that, it's blind, and that's what becomes your attitude. That's what people think of when they think of your name. You're never going to escape it. You harden it. It's going to harden like cement, and to break that is going to be even harder, right? You got to deal with that stuff, hopefully when you're younger, as young as possible. That way you can build that and reinforce that with the good, with the experiences, you know. And it's just like you said, it's a level of maturity that it's good to, it might be a hard thing to wrap your head around, but even if you don't go through certain experiences, you can hear what other people have to say. Yeah. You know, you don't have to fall down to know that it hurts to fall down. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Sometimes being in a situation where you see that around you makes you learn that, okay, I want to be careful. I want to do things the right way. I want to act the right way. Yeah, and, for sure. I think a lot of times it takes failure once or twice. It takes your heart being broken and hurt in order to really reinforce that, you know, and to go on about doing that. And even then, another level, to make it your character. Yeah. And that be something that people think about when they think of you as, oh, he is this way, he is that way. Yeah. You know, it came with a lot of self-work, you know. Yeah. And I think it's good to say that. Yeah. There's nothing embarrassing about being open with that, because like I was saying before the podcast, we're all living life, right? So why not be open about things? Why not share experiences and just kind of have that extension to be like, hey, I'm living life with love, admiration for the people around me. I only want to go up. That's a good motivation. People want to be around those type of people and stuff like that. For sure. You don't want to be around a negative person, you know. Only if you're forced to, like if they're your brother, you know, your uncle. So you kind of have to be with them, but you want to surround yourself with positive people. So be a positive person, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, when it comes to, let's get back to, I have a couple more questions about film. When it comes to your interpretation of filmmaking, and like when you're going into a project, like let's take the Brainstorm, like what you just, the film you just made. Are there specific genres that you like to touch on more than others? Are there certain type of stories you're trying to tell in your filmmaking? Walk me through that process.
It's a great, I like this question because I've actually thought about this question a lot, mainly because I got into film through movies, and specifically the directors. That position always really called to me. Yeah. And that tends to be the position that has probably the biggest hand in why the film feels the way it does. Yeah. And even to the degree, like the genre. So when I think of like how I understand film and how I perceive it in my head, it's really easy to fall into thriller, horror, suspense. Okay. Right? I think me personally, those are the movies I tend to watch. But at the same time, if you really look at it, it tends to be a genre that a lot of people navigate towards because the way you tell that story, you don't have to have a lot of scale, right? Okay. For example, in your story, the post-apocalyptic, like you have scale. Like there's not always an easy way to make that film. You need a lot. There's a lot of things you need to go working for you, a lot of things you need to build. Then you can get that. When it comes to like horror, suspense, it can be easily done, right? Okay. And something about that has always made me kind of want to challenge myself and be like, okay, why do I go to thriller and horror, right? Because I've done 3 short films, right? Fortuitous, Learning Curve, and Brainstorm. This Brainstorm is the biggest one. Yeah. But Learning Curve has more of a thriller suspense-esque to it. Okay. And so does kind of Brainstorm to a degree. And so I really like Stanley Kubrick and his films, and he is a genre master. He's made a horror film, a war film, a period piece film. He's made a romance film, a drama film, a heist movie, one in space. Like, this man has genres. Yeah. And he doesn't just stick to one genre. And generally, when you look at directors in their filmography, they tend to stick to a genre that they're good at. They're comfortable. A genre they made their name in. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And something about Stanley Kubrick's approach, he wasn't confined by genre. Okay. He made film and he made different stories. Yeah. And I like that approach because you're not limited by one thing. You can tell stories in different ways with different things at stake. And that shows that this person has experience to think of this different ways, you know? And I want to kind of get into that. I want to break the genres that I do. That's why this next short film that I'm doing is it's called Wavered. It's the French New Wave film that we had in class I talked about.
Yeah.
But I want that one to be completely different. I want no horror, no suspense, no thriller aspect to it, and it just be like a romantic French New Wave style drama.
Okay.
And I just like the idea of approaching film and not be limited, by things that are applied to you, or limiting yourself. And so I think breaking genres shows that, wow, this person can make a horror, a drama, a romance. There's range, right? And when it comes to a lot of artists, most artists don't tend to do that. You listen to Drake. Drake's not going to make a country song or a rock and roll song. You listen to him and you'll be like, what the heck? This is out of nowhere. And so we're used to artists confining into the genre. And most of the time that's what you want. But I want to kind of break out of that and try different genres and different stories. Generally, I do go to like horror and thriller suspense, but I want to break out of that. I want to do different stories, because I see, like I said, film as a medium to tell any story, any emotion. And if I'm limiting myself to one genre, I feel like I can't experience other stories. You know? So
that's really profound. I also like how, like you said, your self-awareness to recognize, like I've found myself making things in these specific genres, and now I want to challenge myself to step out of that and really attempt something that maybe I'm not most comfortable doing, but I definitely have the ambition, the ability, and the skill set to make it happen. I think what would you say what were a couple of your biggest challenges making your most recent film, Brainstorm?
Okay. I think one of the biggest challenges was definitely the location for the meeting room.
Okay.
It was hard to get an office that fit with the budget and kind of had everything that we wanted.
Okay.
The good thing about my story, it's only 3 locations. 2 of them are like a meeting room / office room. So there's not a lot you kind of need to ask for there, but the locations we were looking at and the one we got, unfortunately, it didn't have any furniture, so we had to kind of furnish a lot of it. And so that kind of slowed things down a little bit. One of the rooms that we were actually going to film in was in construction. They were like painting it and stuff like that. And we had told them, is it going to be ready for when we film? And they said, yeah, it's going to be ready. Ended up not being the day before. And so we had to use the other room that we filmed in. And it was like, oh, crap. Well, now I need to find a way to furnish it because there's nothing in there and stuff like that. So it's just that, which is so important because the location is what's the film seeing the entire time. That's where the camera's pointed at. So those things, like at the end, when you're filming the next day and you get those news, it's like, okay, well, now you got to like shuffle a lot of things. You got to adjust things, because I was working with the understanding we're going to film here, all the angles, like the shot list is in respect to this, and now we're filming in a different room. So it's definitely making those quick adjustments, shifting some things. So, okay, how do I still tell the story the same way now with things have kind of changed up a little bit? To be honest, the story was probably another big thing that I kind of came across. The story of the Brainstorm was not the one I wrote at the beginning. I kind of changed up a lot of things. I had a 16-page script, and I got that down to 9.
Okay.
So I kind of changed a lot of exactly, not the setting and the situation, but more or less how these characters worked around the situation.
Okay, interacted with the story.
I shifted the focus down to like 2 characters. Okay. And them having a contrast between each other. Yep. And the other character served as reinforcement, to support these characters. And that kind of took a little bit of time. Is kind of understanding, okay, what is the film I'm trying to tell here? What does it mean to me? What's the theme? What's the story? What is someone going to get out of this? When they're done watching this film, what are they going to think in their head? Is it going to be a good idea, or is it going to be a bad one, And so it's thinking how the audience is going to perceive this. And that, you think about when you're filming it, and even more in the editing room, when you're editing it together. So I think that was probably a big thing that kind of slowed a lot of the waves was this story. Definitely have a story that you feel good about, and you're strong. You know what you're trying to say. You know the subtext. You know what's happening. But also, it's very important to have other people read it. I didn't really give myself a lot of time to do that. Is to have a lot of people give me their thoughts. Tell me what you think of it. Because me writing my own story, you can't escape your own mind. You have to be within your mind to write this film. But when you do that, sometimes it becomes your own story, and that can work for you, but it's really good to see how other people see about, oh, this character, or why this person did this or did that. So I think that's one thing I wish I could have given myself more time, is to let other people read it, to give me their opinion, even though, yes, they're going to know what the ending is. They're going to know, what I'm trying to do. It's important to know that what it is you're saying is good. Makes sense, is, sticky like glue and not like all breaking down. So
I agree. I think when going into this semester, when I wrote my script, I always told myself, I was like, this first draft is not going to be the one that's on set.
It's when you
go film, you know what I mean? I was like, there's going to be a lot of tweaks and changes and iterations. And that was the same thing. I was like, I gave it to Robert. I gave it to a couple other people. I'm like, hey, I need you to read this and really give me feedback on what needs improvement. You know what I mean? Like, does the dialogue make sense for the scene?
Don't just tell me, oh, I like it. I know, what do you like? The constructive feedback is good. Because maybe there's some things in there, some things you're trying to say, but you don't want to be out loud about it, and you want to see if they pick up on it too. A lot of the times when it comes to in specific, the one shot that I had in my short film where the glass breaks, and I asked a couple of people, I was like, is this look like what I'm trying to make it look like? Because I edited it together. I put all the effects. To me, it looks pretty good, but maybe to you, it doesn't. The one
where the glass breaks and then the light is on the other side?
Yeah, the light is on the side.
That was the money shot, dog.
And so the way I had that first, I only had one scale, right? Scaling out. And when I showed that to Michael, he was like, it doesn't really represent what you're trying to say. And so then I added the scale on the other one. So you have two scaling opposite sides while the image is positioning closer to you. So it's scaling out while it's moving forward. And that's what gives that, oh, it's on the other side of the wall and it looks like it's there. To me, it looked good, but I needed that other person to tell me it wasn't there yet for me to work on it and kind of really strengthen it and to say like, oh, okay, now it's really representing what I'm trying to say. So
it was beautiful. I think it's no surprise that you took best film for the showcase. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm glad, dude. That got me really happy. I was excited. I felt definitely humbled. That I've always kind of wanted to, ever since I started filming, take on the directing position. That seems to be the most attractive one to me. And so starting off kind of my film career in this way, it feels really good. I'm really humbled, and it makes me want more. It makes me look at Brainstorm like, okay, I'm happy with what I did, which is still not the director's edition, right? But I'm happy with what I did. I'm happy with what I made, but I want my next one to be even bigger. It has to be better. It has to be bigger. I want to keep growing up, and so it's more fuel, more ammo. So if it's
you should be very proud of yourself, because I think that film came out great.
And even I look at it and I was like, I can do some things differently. I can make it better,
absolutely,
and stuff like that. Which is, I'm judging my own artistry, but I'd rather have this than be like, oh, I did the most I can. That's the max. It's like I don't think one should look at it like that.
Like you said, I think your attitude going forward is a representation of your mindset and your character. Is like, this was great, but now there's another project that I want to work on that's going to be better, and then the next one's going to be better, and I'm just going to continue to evolve and grow and learn, and I love that mindset, because it's like it's like that attitude of like never arriving, like. I haven't arrived. You know what I mean? Like, I will never arrive. Like, as long as I'm living, there's always something to learn and grow in and ultimately become better at.
And you want to know why that is the truth? When people say life is not about the destination, it's about the journey. And what you explained is exactly that, is the journey, right?
Absolutely.
That's where you spend most of your time.
Absolutely.
The journey is what makes the end feel at its high point, because you went through all that to get there. And so
And
there's no cheating that in life.
The other thing that that also makes that true and reinforces that is how many times have you reached the destination and you realize like it's not
what you thought.
Yeah, it's like exactly, you reach the destination and you're like,
you don't feel rewarded.
Yeah, this was great. But I'm not gonna stay here. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying.
It's like when you finish a show, it's like, okay, well, what now?
Exactly. And that's how you like you said, it's like it's true and it's reinforced by the fact that every time you get to a destination, most of the times you're like, okay, I'm not gonna stay here. Like, this is great. I'm at the destination, but what comes next? You know what I mean? And that journey is everything.
You got to see it like a checkpoint. You reach checkpoint 1, all right, keep going to the checkpoint 2. And, you know, it's good to, at those checkpoints, if you want, look yourself in the mirror and be like, okay, I feel good.
Yeah.
You know, talk to yourself.
Yeah.
Tell yourself you're beautiful, you're strong, whatever. Reinforce that in you, because you may think it may be out of the ordinary. It might not do a lot, but it does do a lot. Seeing yourself smile has this weird effect chemically in your body that I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but it's there.
Yeah. Last year was fucking rough. Last year and the beginning of this year has been pretty rough too. I think like emotionally and spiritually, I've been going through a lot of, and mentally, I've been going through a lot of like personal things and like transitions in my life. And I think that one of the things that I'm so grateful I did last year was record a lot of memories. So at the end of the year, I was able to reflect. And when you go through the fucking minutia of life, right? And you're just like in there and you're like, God damn, like this fucking sucks. When you get to, like, you know, you get to the end of the year and you can watch all that and you're like, holy fuck, like it wasn't all bad. You know what I mean? Like there were some great moments. There were some things that like got me so emotional watching it, because I'm like, I remember that day. I remember how I felt. And I remember like for those couple of hours, nothing mattered. Like who I was with, the time I spent with my daughter or with family or with friends or doing things that were going to progress my life forward. It was like, this is amazing. Like even in the worst possible year of one's life, you can still look back and see so many things that you've accomplished and so many things that you achieved. And one of the things that, I don't know if you know who Simon Sinek is. He wrote this book. It's actually right there. It's called Start With Why. It's on this side. It's like the last one right here. Yeah. His name's Simon Sinek. And, it's basically a book that talks about, like the reason you do things is the why, you know what I mean? So it's like, you need to find your why, and from there you will achieve your goals essentially. So
life gets easy.
Yeah. He, I was listening to a podcast that he did with somebody, and there were so many things in that podcast that like resonated with me, but there's one thing that resonated with me so much, and I don't think I'll ever forget it. If I got dementia, I think I'd still remember this. Like he literally said, and he was like,
that's funny.
Yeah. He was like, are you a good friend to yourself? Are you somebody that you would want to spend time with?
That's powerful, man.
So powerful.
That's
and it was in the middle, bro. Like, so I listened to this, I want to say in July or August, and it was like in the heart. And I was like, you know, in a really bad place. I think like it had been really rough. And I'm just like trying to figure out like, bro, where do I go from here? How do I navigate this? Because there was a lot of things where I was just like, damn, dude, like, I don't know if I've handled these situations right. I don't know if like you reflect over years and years of decisions. You're like, damn, like, could I have done this better? Whatever the case may be. And it's like, when I heard that, it resonated with me so much because I realized like I hadn't been a good friend to myself. And it was something I got so emotional about because I was like, fuck, dude. And I like for the rest of the year, I worked so hard on like being a little bit more like gracious and compassionate with myself, and recognizing like talking to myself the way I would talk to somebody if they came to me in a difficult situation, you know? Yeah. And it's like, hey, I, you know, like at the end of the day, like just telling myself like, hey, I'm glad you made it through the day. You know what I mean? Like it was rough today. Yeah. There were a lot of challenges, but let's get some rest, and like we'll kick some ass tomorrow. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it was like, well, like I said, it was one of those things where I think like ever since then, it's resonated with me. It's like, and it's something I ask myself on a constant basis, like, hey, are you being a good friend to yourself? And recognizing, like you said, like, it's okay to be hard on yourself and hold yourself accountable and have a standard, but recognize that you also are human, and at times you need to have grace and compassion, and ultimately, you know, if you're not going to quit, whatever you failed in or whatever you made mistakes in will only allow you to be better moving forward. And that's the thing. You know what I mean? It's like, but it resonated with me so much because it was like, that was, like I said, that was something that stuck out to me.
Yeah.
And
I think one reason why it resonated with you so much is like we were saying earlier, we're type of people that kind of be hard on yourself, right?
Yeah.
And you internalize a lot of things, self-reflect and stuff. And the saying that the happiest people or the saddest and loneliest people it seems real true because a lot of the times, like we're talking now, is most of this conversation has just been us talking about how our social skills, right? And how you treat people is very important. And a lot of that shapes up who you are inside. Yeah. And like we were saying earlier, that balance, right? Being hard on yourself and also being true and good to others is you got to self-reflect onto yourself. You got to balance the being hard on yourself with telling yourself you're proud of yourself. Yeah. And even self-reflecting in the form like you did in videos, you have footage to represent that. And bro, edit that together, put some happy, sad music on top, and you're going to be like, oh, it's going to hit your heart, right?
Bro, yeah.
Yeah, like, that was like... And that's the stuff that really reinvigorates you, especially having the next years coming up as a restart. Okay, here's my chance to, okay, let me keep this going. Let me strengthen this. It's a good opportunity to kind of like get into that and just build it. And most importantly, build it into a habit. Yeah. It's to be your daily. Because if you only do it for a little bit, you got to ingrain it into your character, Yeah. It's not hard doing that. It's not easy doing that. Yeah. It's not something people tell you. It's not something you learn. Yeah. It's something you kind of have to develop your own self. Yeah. And who knows if you ever develop it. But it's good to communicate about it.
Like you said, you have to have a willingness. You know what I mean? There has to be a willingness to change. A willingness to recognize, like, I don't like where I'm at. I don't like how these situations have played out. I don't like the decision making I've made. There's a willingness to change and grow, and like you said, it's a choice, and it can be done. And I think it's challenging, and like you said, it's very challenging, but it's certainly something that can be accomplished. Yeah. And I think how do you feel about winning Best Film? Like, did you feel confident? Did you feel that going into the semester, or at least like into that final week where you needed to submit your film, like, hey, I'm pretty confident that if I don't win, at least I'm proud of what I made, and I know I'm giving everybody a run for what it is.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that because, easy answer, yeah. I definitely feel good about winning. I'm glad I did. I'm glad that people kind of saw my hard work and kind of rewarded me with that. Yeah. You know? I do see that. I hope that it didn't come easily, right? Yeah. Because in my short film, I had a swamp monster, right? My great friend Jose Aponte, amazing artist, built that for me. Yeah. And Jose, everyone knows he's skilled. Yeah. He's amazing at what he does, and he's a really good friend of mine. He's like, yeah, don't worry about it. All I had to do was kind of pay for the materials and everything. Yeah. I went one day to a shop and helped him, but he's the master. He kind of did everything. Yeah. And it came out amazing. Yeah. It was great. And like, I hope everyone listening, we're going to share it on social media so you can see it, because it is absolutely amazing. Oh, I can't wait to upload it to YouTube. Yeah. I can't wait to like submit it to film festivals and be in that circuit and stuff. But I hope that the win wasn't all based on that, right? Yeah. Because when you have something that's cool like that, right? Something that's very visually striking, right? Yeah. And the way I used it, I made a very 50s Swamp Monster style, black and white. And I hope that wasn't where everyone looked at, right? Yeah. Because essentially that was the very beginning of the short. The rest of it was something completely different. Yeah, exactly. And so I hope that I didn't just have all the weight of the quality in one side. Yeah. You know? And for me, like I said, with the location, I wish I could have gotten a different location, stuff like that. But nonetheless, with what I have, I feel like I kind of directed these characters very well and kind of had the reasons as to why this person feels this way and why this person feels this way and why their actions, are one-to-one with why they're feeling. I think I hope a lot of the best, winning can go to that, can go to like, oh, the other side of the film was really good. I hope it's not just, oh, there's a monster in the film, because it's kind of a common thing, I guess, with the NVC directing showcases was, I mean, all the monster ones that have been there have won. Yeah. Right? And I don't want to just follow into that formula, so to say.
I think the only one who broke the cycle was Robert with his musical.
Yeah, with this music. And that was really interesting because that's different. Yeah. He did a whole musical with, I mean, that's not easy. You got to you have to have the dialogue mixed with the music. And I don't even know how I would begin to start that. Exactly. Right? So...
And now you got to find talent, because like you also got to find talent who can sing.
Yeah,
now
that's another thing.
Yeah, it's not just like, okay, you can be a great actress, but do you even have the ability to like, do this?
And his actresses, man, they sound like Disney princesses.
Yeah,
dude.
they were great.
Have that like very good.
They were great.
Soft sort of feminine voice.
Yeah, it was awesome. Really well. It was an amazing film. I think it captured who Robert is. You know what I mean? Like, I think that film was amazing, and it just. To see him produce that or direct that and make that happen was really cool. Yeah. But yeah,
definitely make a movie that feels like you. If you do that and you see that, I mean, you're proud.
Exactly.
That's as much as you can feel. Yeah. So I'm definitely very proud of the Brainstorm for sure. I'm very happy, especially with the team, dude. Yeah. I'm very grateful for that. Yeah. And I've been on sets where since we're more students, it's more student level. So there isn't a lot of things going on. It's just kind of rudimentary, very filming. But I like to, I want to scale up. I want this to feel like a little bit more like a set. Everyone, I'm basically asking all of you guys to help do this for me, right? And so I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to feed y'all, make sure y'all got drinks and stuff, because I want to make sure y'all are okay. To show that, hey, I appreciate you guys coming, because you guys are showing me love. I want to show that love back, because that's the type of relationships I want to have, like you were saying earlier, you have a lot of intention in making sure like your relationships are real. You don't want fake stuff. No. Me neither. I'm too old for that. I wanna know that, I'm cool with this person. He thinks the same way, just be on the level with somebody, especially when you're making a film and you need their help. You need people to be there for you. So
I agree. I think I don't do well with surface level. Like I mean, like when it comes to like relationships or conversations, like I don't want to know about the weather. I don't want to know about. I don't want you to tell me.
You don't want the bullshit.
No, like I don't want you.
Let's
to
get
like,
to the real shit.
How's your day? Yeah, how's your day been? Like I don't like. I mean, I want to know like.
What gets you waking up?
Yeah, like what keeps you up at night? You know what I mean? Like, what's your philosophy? Like, do you believe that there's other things in this world other than us? You know what I mean? Like, what's your perspective on our universe? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like. Are there moral absolutes? You know what I mean? Like, is truth relative or absolute? These are the conversations I'm trying to have. And bro,
dude, don't even get me started with that. That's a conversation you have for a whole day.
Bro, sometimes, and then the thing is like, the thing that sucks is when you really, really like care about someone, or like you know what I mean? Like you want to be friends with somebody and you realize like, oh, this person doesn't really have like depth in their conversations. but yeah, it's like, I don't want to have small talk, bro. Like let's talk about, things that really matter. You know what I mean? Like
that's the stuff that makes you care.
Yeah. And I think I don't know, before I got into film, my major was in philosophy. So I think it's just innately who I am. Yeah. I think
makes sense.
Because in like, I think the Greek philosophia meant like the love of wisdom. So philosophy is basically the love of wisdom, learning what wisdom is. Mm-hmm. And I think that has just been such a pivotal part of my 29 years of life. I think I've spent so much time trying to learn what wisdom is and how to implement it into my life. 'Cause in my opinion, I think that's what wisdom is. Mm-hmm. Knowledge is knowing how to do something. Wisdom is knowing how to incorporate that and turn that
how to
into,
make it you.
Make it.
The accessories and stuff like that, and the weight is not too much.
Yeah.
So to get movement shots and stuff like that is much easier. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I really like this one because yeah, I guess like what you're saying is like I can put it on a gimbal. Yeah, and it's really
easily.
Neat. Yeah, it's really neat.
Blackmagic's a bitch.
Yeah,
I know you.
Yeah. Oh, bro, I hate that
exactly.
thing. Yeah, because you gotta use a big ass crane for it, and I'm just like, bro.
Yeah. And even then, like it's a bit bigger of a camera, and then you gotta think about the monitor, right? Yep. Or like how are you gonna power it? It needs battery. Exactly. And the internals don't work for much.
Yep.
So, just all that stuff.
Or if you use a little battery that's inside of it, like you have 15 minutes?
15 minutes.
So yeah, it's brutal, bro. Like that's the one thing about I love production because it is when you're on set filming and stuff like that, it is so much fun. But it has been such a learning curve because, like you said, there's so many things that you have to take in consideration: battery life, storage, how much stuff am I putting on this camera? How am I going to, if I want to get movement and I wanted it to look smooth, what am I using? You know what I mean? And it's like, and then when you try to get either like on a gimbal or crane or something like that, the weight matters and the distribution of that weight matters, and it's difficult. And the bigger the setup, the more challenging it is. Yeah. And I think one of the things, once I'm done with school, I think one of the things that I'm going to invest heavily in and focus on, I was talking to Daniel, the cinematographer, the teacher for cinematography, and he was telling me that Steadicam operators they're wanted, and they come with their own equipment. And he was like, but it's a huge investment because you're fucking setting it up. You know what I mean? Like you come to shoot what you're going to shoot with the Steadicam, and you need to have everything. You know what I mean? Yeah, so it was like, and to have everything that's thousands of dollars. And not only that, but then you have to rig your Steadicam, you know what I mean? The way you want it. I mean, like the way you want the vest on,
the way you want it, but also gets what they're looking for in the shot.
Exactly.
And it's not always like, okay, there's one way to do it. Every time you do a new shot, it's always a new set of situation, new angle, new everything. So it's all about the principle, the philosophy. Yeah. But every time you play the game, it's a different game, right? It's a different shot. And no, like you're saying, it's Steadicam operators. They can warrant that because to get those shots, you kind of need all
them.
That.
You need them. You know what I mean? Like they are a specialist. You know what I mean?
Specialist
in a specific field, and it's super cool. Like when he was telling me that, I was like, okay, I think I found, at least in the film side of things, I found what I want to like do once I graduate and like pursue.
You definitely you want to be behind camera then?
Yeah, I love being behind the camera. Okay. Being behind the camera is like the best.
Yeah.
Operating the camera is so much fun. I feel like there's other fun aspects of like filming, but being on the camera to me is the best feeling because you're following the action. You're getting what is going to be on the film. You know what I mean? And I also think it's because the reason I got into the program is because I wanted to be sports videographer. So I wanted,
that makes sense.
Yeah, I want to I want to be on like a sideline recording NFL games, college football games, basketball games, you know what I mean? That was my passion. I remember like we were talking about before we took a break. My major before this was philosophy, right? And I love philosophy. I love it. I can talk about it for hours. Like we're literally about to do that. But it's like one of those things where like I love it so much, but I saw that the only opportunities outside of like once I graduated, the only opportunities for me was to either go back to school to be a professor or to go into law. You know what I mean? And I was like, I don't want to be a lawyer. Yeah. Like, that does not sound fun at all. And to go back to school and be a professor for philosophy would be great. But I realized I like this on a personal level. You know what I mean? Like I enjoy having these conversations with people. I enjoy reading philosophical books on my own. You know what I mean?
Career,
exactly. I was like, I enjoy Descartes and, Plato and Socrates and, you know what I mean? Like all these different philosophical, arguments that people make and, Immanuel Kant and like all these people. I love listening and hearing their perspectives and like, talking philosophy. But I realized like I'm not gonna do that for a living. So then I realized I was like, I love sports. I guess I want to learn how to like. I was like, I need to do something in the sports world. I was like, I'm gonna learn how to film sports. So that's basically what I told. That's what I told my advisor. She was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I just want to be involved in like sports media. in the sense of like either social media content or being on the sidelines, taking pictures or videos for sporting events. She was like, oh, well, we have a digital media and cinematic production, like, you know, program. And I was like, what does that entail? And she was like, oh, you would learn how to like operate cameras and all different types of, you know, aspects of like that, of filming stuff. It was like broadcasting and like film stuff. I was like, yeah, we'll do that. And I got into it and I fell in love with it. It was like, yeah, it was absolutely what I've been wanting to do.
And I really like that you know what aspect of film you coming into, because for example, me, like I was saying, I'm more of a film guy, movie guy. That's what got me into film. It wasn't like anything else. It wasn't audio or cameras, you know. I learned that after, but it was the production of film. So I'm very film oriented, but I really like to see that other people aren't, you know. You're in this because film is not necessarily your thing, but the things that involve film, you know, like cameras, it's all the same. You know, production is production, whether you like it or not. So the fact
just
that
looks a little different.
And you still kind of have a lot of these same attributes, you know, but you're doing it in your own way. You know, that digital filming sort of
everything that I have filmed has some form of sports incorporated into it. Like
even this one, the post-apocalypse, please tell me there's gonna be a zombie football player.
No. Like that would be hilarious. Yo,
like a big defensive lineman zombie, bro.
I didn't even think about that. That shit's happening for sure. No, but not to spoil it, but the one of the sister had a husband, but obviously a little spoiler, he gets infected.
Okay.
But he was a college football player. And there's a flashback in the film of them cleaning out their like spare bedroom of all his like college football accolades because they're having a baby. So they're turning into a nursery. So I'm always incorporating sports
some sort of film
into the film. Yeah. So when we shot, there was for digital video 2, right? We had to do the story without words. Well, we did our story about a couple that is like in a horrible relationship. Like he's in drugs, abuses his wife, and like their marriage is basically falling apart, right? And incorporated sports into that. In the very
how did you do it with that?
In the very beginning, right? Because you can't have dialogue, so we had a voiceover of him knocked out on the couch watching the Super Bowl, and you heard the voiceover of the Super Bowl announcer, and then it cuts to a shot of the TV. So I'm always finding a way, bro. Like it's in everything.
Everything you do has to have some level
of sports in it. Like I always.
That's what shows it's a Chris Santiago production.
It's my unique twist to it. It's like because you know, a lot of the projects that I do outside of like the school are sports wise, you know what I mean? Like I film a lot of pickleball content or, you know, stuff like that. And I'm trying to get involved more like with the high schools here in San Antonio so that way I can start doing like football games and stuff. But, you know, I do that on my own. Most of the projects in class are more like film productions, you know what I mean? So I've had to find a way to incorporate what I like and what I want and what I'm passionate about into these things. And it's been a lot of fun because it's like you said, it's my unique take on a lot of these things. You know what I mean? Like the story is about a marriage that's failing that ultimately gets reconciled at the end. But there was a cool way for me to interject something that I liked in there. You know what I mean? Like with the voiceover of the announcer. And then also like I'm really big into like anime and Funko Pops, as you can tell. So our set dress inside the place was of like a young 20s couple, you know what I mean? Like who are like into anime and into, you know what I mean? So it's like little Easter eggs throughout the film, just pointing to things that, you know, I like and I enjoy. And then same thing with, you know, with the next project in digital video 2, we had to do, it was the nonprofit organization. Well, it would just so happen that in the spring, San Antonio hosts a pickleball tournament. The Arthritis Foundation hosts a pickleball tournament to bring awareness. So I reached out to them and was like, hey, do you guys mind if we come and get some interviews and then some some B-roll, and we'll put together a promo video for you guys, and then give it to you. And then next year when you guys have your event, you can, you can post it wherever you want, and that's what we did. So we went to this pickleball event. A couple weekends before the event, we sat down with the president, vice president, a couple of the individuals that were gonna play, the owner of the facility, and we just got some interviews.
Everybody,
yeah,
right?
Everybody, exactly. And then we just sat down with them and had them talk about, what's the mission statement, what are we bringing awareness to, and why is this important? And they did a great job of like articulating that. And it was awesome. It was a great experience. And then I did a lot of the filming of the actual pickleball event with my personal, like with the gimbal and my personal camera. And then I had the other members of the team use the cameras that we got from the school to get like the B-roll footage. Yeah. And so it was a collective. It was a great collective, like progress for all of us. You know what I mean? Like I'm just, like I said, I'm always going to go back to, I've been so grateful and fortunate that throughout the 2 years of being in the film program, I have been able to like pick out talent and recognize talent in other people. And I guess show to them that I'm worthy of working with, because every project that I've had has been seamless. Like it's been work and it's been hard and we've had to grind, but I never had to show up to a set and be like, I don't want to fucking be here. You know what I mean? Like it was always
that's
fun.
ugly.
Yeah.
It's ugly.
It was always, I always try to promote a culture of like fun and positivity.
That's the right way to do it.
But also accountability and like, hey, we got to get this done. You know what I mean? So it's been a lot of fun. But like I said, I've just found a way to incorporate sports into everything.
I like that you described it that way, because I mean, obviously pickleball, it's a sport, and also what y'all are there for is getting the task done at hand. So you're kind of knocking two stones at once. You're doing the shots and you're doing it with your own gimbal, your own thing. So you're practicing what you would do after. You know? You're building that portfolio to do, if you want to say so. I really like that assignment a lot, because most of the time, since most of the other students, they tend to be younger, right? People tend to be a bit more nervous, more, in kind of kept. And so that class actually forces you to go out there and talk to people, be like, hey,
for sure, can
we film this for you and stuff like that? Can we do this for you? And it kind of really does shine light of like, okay, this is how you would treat a client, right?
Bro, literally. That's
how it is.
Literally,
exactly
like, and I had Noelia. So she was very much like pre-production and treating this like a legitimate client is a huge part of your grade. You know what I mean? So it was like you had to have signatures, emails, reaching out to them, communicating to them, sending them the script, sending them the storyboard, making sure that they're approving what it is that you're going to do. It felt like we had a client. And it was really cool because like that class allowed me, because I was taking that class at the same time that I was doing production management. So it was like everything I was learning in production management
go hand in hand
about having a client and like budgeting and all this stuff went hand in hand with that project. And it was awesome. It was a great experience. I'm super, super grateful for my team. Shout out to Lauren, Rebecca, and Matt. They're the GOATs. I really appreciate them. Like we worked on both projects that semester together. So I'm very grateful for them. But
that's your team. Like you've been with them for most of your classes, huh?
Yeah. I mean, at this point, towards the end, I think people are starting to like everybody's schedule's a little different. So it's a little bit harder now to get everybody that you started with, you know what I mean? Like everybody everybody has had to like, make adjustments. Some have to take either like the morning classes while others take the evening classes, and people are working, schedules are a little different. Especially like with me, I have a kid, so it's like I'm always like having to schedule things way ahead of time, so it's like it's very challenging because I'm limited on like I'm not available on these days, you know what I mean? Like I can only do it for this time for this time.
Not to interrupt you, but that's one thing I've always liked seeing with you is seeing you with your girl at school. It's like that shows that you're not letting it stop you. You have a kid and stuff, and you still
chill out, bro. You're gonna get me emotional.
You work through that, bro. It's like, because I mean, having a kid is not easy, man, right? And so nonetheless, you bring her, and it shows like, okay, this guy's about it, right? He's not letting life slow him down, right? Because things are gonna get in the way, and sometimes you have one or two things in the way. Sometimes you have 10 or 20, man, but showing that effort that speaks volumes.
Yeah.
You know,
I appreciate that. You know, I think,
and I hope, you know, cause you know, we're all college kids and, you know, there's some things being said. I hope she doesn't like see it as a bad environment. She looks like she has fun.
Yeah.
Just
No, she's
messing around, and stuff like that.
Like I said, dude, I'm just so fortunate for all the stupid fucking mistakes I've made in my life. I have been very fortunate that, you know, I've avoided a lot of, I guess, like horrible, like, I guess, circumstances or like repercussions. But I don't deserve that little girl at all. She is so amazing. She is so kind and genuine, and you know, I love her so much. Like, I just, like you said, you know what I mean? Like, she's a ball of energy. She's full of life. She's so well behaved,
innocent,
so well behaved, so well behaved, dude. Like I said, I can bring her to work, I can bring her to school, and she allows me to get stuff done. And I think to anybody who's listening that like is a parent or is going to be a parent, there's two things that I think really resonate with your children when they're young. One, the way you try to communicate to them, and two, the example that you set, what they see. Because I think the two things that I've always tried to do and be good at is that I've always made the attempt to communicate to her like, hey, unfortunately, today Dad has to go to work and you're gonna have to come with me, and I'm gonna need you to behave, and I'm not gonna be able to play with you. You know what I mean? Like, and I know it's gonna suck. You know what I mean? Like, I know you're gonna be bored, but unfortunately, like, this is how it has to be. You know what I mean? And just communicating to them and setting that standard and allowing them to express, like, you know what I mean? Because they're gonna ask, well, why do I have to do that? You know what I mean? Like, I'm bored.
You're gonna be a kid.
Yeah, and I do my best to like navigate that in a way where it's like, if I know I have to bring her an hour or two before, like, let's make sure we go for a long walk, we go to the park, we do something to get all the energy out. You know what I mean? So that way, when we're there, you're not like, hey, Dad, I'm bored, I want to go play. You know what I mean? And it's like, so it's being intentional. It's being intentional, recognizing like you said, your children should never be an excuse. Should never be an excuse for why you don't achieve things. They're the reason. You know what I mean? Like,
it's the opposite.
Yeah, exactly. Opposite. Like there's very few things I have like low tolerance for, and that's one of them. Like, when people try to make excuses for why they can't do things because of their children, it really makes me frustrated. And it's like where I need to work on and having grace with people, because I guess because I saw my mom do it. Like, my mom raised 3 of us, and she had tremendous help from my stepdad, but there were times where he was working significantly and it was just her, and she had to navigate that, and it wasn't easy. You know what I mean? There's 3 of us and 1 of her, and we're all boys.
And you're all boys.
So we're all fucking assholes.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like we're
fighting,
literally like, we're horrible. Like, the worst. Like, breaking stuff. You know what I mean? Like, no type of consideration for indoor life.
There's no emotional regulation with boys.
No. Yeah.
Just,
like,
and especially when you got 3, it's like 3 monkeys. Just everyone can get mad at each other. And
exactly.
Just,
No, it was a disaster. But, you know, to see her raise us and go through that, and the thing was, like, with my mom is, like, she never made excuses, and she was very good at communicating. And I think that's why I'm so, like, I make it such a priority, is because I saw how much it meant to me and my brothers. And, you know, I'm just grateful that she took that approach, because I feel like that's where I got it from. But that's what I'm saying is, like, I don't, maybe I have the attitude because I saw somebody who didn't make excuses. And same thing with my stepdad, like, had to work his fucking ass off to provide for us. And he never made excuses. Like, he just went to work, just grinded, didn't make any excuses for whatever the situation was. It was like, hey, it needs to be done, you know?
That's responsibility, right?
Yeah. So it was like, so, you know, and I guess I try to embody that in my own life. You know what I mean? Like,
I can see that.
Yeah. She's not, I'd never want her to feel like she's in the way of my goals.
She's stopping you.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the times parents don't want that to happen with the kid. It just ends up happening because life is hard. Yeah. And the kid's going to see, like, am I the problem? Yeah. And that's going to affect how they grow up. Yeah. You know, I think the way you're treating your daughter, the principle, the mentality you have, I think your daughter's going to grow up really smart, man. Yeah. Listen to the way you just kind of set the example, how you talk to her. Like, hey, I have to go to work.
Yeah.
And this is how it has to happen. I need you to work with me. We're not
Yeah.
going to do this. You're talking to her like an adult.
Yeah.
To a degree.
I've always made
you're
that
not
a priority.
talking to her. You're not belittling her
No.
down. You're saying like, hey, this is where we're at. Because most of the time you talk to kids, you lower
Yeah.
the way you talk.
You lower your standards.
You're not doing that.
No.
You're kind of telling her. And so that's already setting her up for like, this is how adults should be. This is how
Yeah.
humans should be.
Yeah.
And that's going to set her miles apart from the kids at her age
Yeah.
where they don't have that.
Yeah.
They weren't talked about
Yeah.
that.
It's a balance. It's a balance for sure because she is a kid, and I don't want her to think that she can't be a kid. You know what I mean? So they're like,
that's an important thing too.
Like
wow,
I said,
I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
Sure.
Because like I said, that's always been my approach. It's like I'm not raising a child. I'm raising an adult. At some point, she's gonna grow up to be an adult. She's a child now. And I can recognize that, and I can allow her to be a child. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm very much about play. You know what I mean? Like play, have fun,
That's good.
Laugh, be joyful. You know what I mean? Like let's go to the park, enjoy your toys. You know what I mean? Like spend time with your family. Be present in the moment. And I communicate that to her all the time. And the beautiful thing is that she listens. You know what I mean? Like I'm just grateful that she's not like me. And she listened because I didn't listen, but it's,
you know how kids can be,
yeah,
like the opposite. So
yeah, no, she's tremendous.
That's good, man.
Yeah, she's the biggest blessing in my life. I truly love that girl.
Me as someone who doesn't have any kids, I love to see the love that a father has for their daughter or for their son. You know,
Yeah.
It can be different with a daughter to a son, but nonetheless, a parent that cares, like there's a lot of respect you got to give to that. There's a lot of like relatability. Like I want to have that myself, and me seeing that within you is like, congrats, man. I'm glad you feel that way. I'm glad that your daughter serves as your motivation for life, right?
Yeah.
That's the ultimate sort of thing that makes you, be a man.
Yeah.
Is right there. If you can't, bring your family, if you can't support your family, it defines you in a negative way. So having those good things, having those good customs, mentalities, it's beautiful to see.
Yeah. Yeah. It's,
for sure.
Yeah. It's one of those things, that, I was always, I knew when I had kids that this was the approach I was going to take.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like my relationship with my father is virtually non-existent. And for most of my life it's been like that, and it's been difficult, and I think that's always been something that I've wrestled with. Mm-hmm. Like I said, always trying to find a male figure that I could look up to and feel that level of love from has always been a challenge. I think I'm very grateful for my stepdad and I love him dearly. I think his approach was, and I've said this before on the pod, but he went to prison when he was young. Mm-hmm. And I think that experience shaped him in a way that it was like when he was raising us, his sole objective was that we didn't end up like that. So there wasn't a lot of cariño and love and emotion and, I'm grateful and I'm proud of you. It was always like a recognition of the things that you're doing wrong. And I need you to fix that. Because his thing, and I realize that now we've had this conversation and we have tremendous respect for each other. Mm-hmm. But at the time, it was hard. It was hard because I'm like, dude, why are you being so fucking hard on us? It was like, you know what I mean? 100%. And now I understand and I recognize it. Mm-hmm. It is interesting. I do wrestle with whether I want a boy, because I want more kids. And I think the thing is, whether I want a boy, because the experience is obviously going to be completely different. Mm-hmm. I'm sold, bro. Girls are the best. At least from my experience, I'd rather raise a girl
you
than
grew
raise
up
a
with
boy.
Like you said, your mom and your grandma.
Yeah, so I think I definitely biased. You know what I mean? I think Adi Bella has set the standard so high that for me it's like
I never heard that about kids. Man.
Yeah, she set the standard so high. So I joke about this, but I had told someone and I was like, if we have kids, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to work on not comparing. Because I was like, well, because anytime they do something wrong or do something that Aribella doesn't do. I'm like, why can't you be like your sister?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
so it's
shit.
like, yeah, it's just, and I was like,
especially if you raise a boy, he's gonna be doing a bunch of dumb stuff, breaking stuff.
Yeah. So it is very interesting because I think, with a boy, I think I would have a very different approach in so much that like, a very different approach in that like the way I talk to him I think would be a little different.
Yeah. No, it has to be.
It wouldn't be like derogatory or disrespectful or anything like that, but I think I would expect him to understand things differently, like, like there's a responsibility that you have. At some point you're either going to become a father, you're going to become a husband. People are going to rely on you. And you need to be accountable, and you need to be able to stand up for your family and also provide and not make excuses. You know what I mean? And a lot of those things I instill in Aribella as well. Obviously, it's a little different because the expectation is that she would be going into a marriage where she is coming in and providing everything to keep this together, and coming together with somebody and them mutually working on their relationship and recognizing it's like not you, it's not me, it's us. It's us now. You know what I mean? And coming beside someone and achieving goals together, and going through life together. You know what I mean? And when things become difficult and challenging, recognizing that part, like, hey, it's us, not me and you. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, it's been an amazing experience. I absolutely love her. I think, like I said, the two biggest things that I've tried to do, as a father is make sure that she understands that, I am going to do my best to communicate to her, and I'm going to do everything I can to communicate in an effective way. Yeah. And the other thing that I preach all the time is this is like our family mantra is we do hard things. And like, that's always been my thing. Every time she says, hey, it's hard, I'm like, we do hard things. You know what I mean? Like, that's okay. It's okay if something's hard. Yeah. It doesn't mean that it's bad. It doesn't mean that you can't accomplish it. It doesn't mean that you can't overcome this. It is going to be hard, and it's going to hurt, and it's going to be challenging, but Daddy's here. And I'm going to walk with you through this journey. You know what I mean? Like, you won't have to do it alone. Yeah. And I think those are the two biggest things that I try to preach. And I just pray, like, at the end of the day, those stick with her. You know what I mean? Those stick with her. Like, she recognizes, like, yeah, I can do hard things. Yeah. I can do hard things because I have a support system behind me. And also I know in myself, I'm resilient enough. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I want her to believe that she can. And in communication, I think, communicating to your children the expectations that you have for them, and also allowing them to communicate the expectations they have for you. And then talking to them, like I said, in a way that they can understand, but also it doesn't water down the message. It's like, I'm going to tell you in a way that you can comprehend, but I'm going to give you the reality of what's going on. You know what I mean? And I think you build so much trust with your children when you can operate that way, when they can come to you and know that, hey, I fucked up, or hey, I need advice, and my dad is going to shoot it to me straight. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's a challenge, I know that I can go to him, communicate these things, and I have a resource. I have a friend that's going to walk with me through that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to go through this journey alone. Yeah.
It's very clear to see, like, where your goals are, your mentality's at. In specific, especially when you talk about your daughter. Earlier, you were saying when you were younger, you looked up for a role model, somebody to be an example of what you should be in life, And I kind of had that a little bit too. I kind of tried to look at it a bit in my father. And when you're young, when you're very, very young, you love your dad, right? Yeah. But then you kind of grow to find some things about him that you don't understand it, right? Yeah. You don't get why he's saying these things or what. And you think like a kid, but what I really like hearing from you is that even though that's how your childhood was, that's not how you want your kid's childhood to be.
Yeah.
You want to set a good example for your daughter. You want to set a good role model. You want her to say, I'm happy about my daddy. I'm proud of my daddy. He's my role model.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of esteem you're going to get from that is like, it's monumental.
Yeah.
Like your creation saying that about you.
Yeah.
And I think your daughter, like I said before, she's going to grow up really smart because you're already kind of conditioning her to receive these challenging things in life that are going to happen, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to like dealing with them in a negative way, in a more emotionally prioritizing way. Your emotions aren't always your friend, you know, especially when you're young. They're very confusing. You don't know what you're feeling. You don't know how to define it. And having a support system, you know, from her perspective, her father, I think is going to work miles for her.
Yeah.
It's going to really enable her to be the best version of herself she can be. And that comes from you, you know, because you were involved, because you were like you said, we do hard things.
Yeah.
Don't cry about it. I'm here. I do hard things. I'm going to keep doing hard things. That's just life.
Yeah.
And it's good to be strong like that.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have that strength, life is going to kick your ass, man. It's going to beat you down and it's not going to stop. Yeah. And a lot of the times you end up blaming yourself. Yeah. And if you don't have that stability within yourself, and you know, things tend to be harder than they really are. Yeah. And you're teaching your daughter from a young age. Yeah. So she's going to have her experiences. She's not going to be beat up by life. Yeah. You know, you're building a strong young woman. Yeah. Right. And I think that really comes to show who you are. Yeah. You know, the type of person you want to be. And all this type of stuff, like one can be real philosophical about it. You know, I'm glad you like philosophy because I'm a big philosophy appreciator too. Yeah. In specific, I like historical philosophy. Yeah. I love just the wisdom and the practicality. Even though these people lived in ancient times, they're still dealing with the same things we are. It's the same thing. We're humans.
It is so crazy.
So it's the truth in human essence. Yeah. And doesn't matter what year you're dealing with it. You can find a way to make it fit now. And I see that in you. I see all these different aspects you carry, not only in your daughter, not only in what you want to do in film, but your character, you know, and you're not afraid to speak about it. Yeah. You understand how you feel, how you think, and you pitch it. You create a podcast in which you get to talk about it and be in depth because not everyone can do that. Yeah. Not everyone can do that. Or not everyone has a role model to follow for that. Yeah. So I like a lot what you say about your daughter.
I appreciate it, bro.
There's a lot of strength about you,
yeah.
you know.
I
appreciate the right direction. Yeah. You're in the right angle.
Yeah.
You know?
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for those kind words. I think, it's just...
It's weird. A lot of that is going to carry over to your film. You can't explain how, but it just will. Yeah. It's all within your character, and everything is just a mentality. Is how you perceive things.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think something that you said that resonated with me is like, you know, like I'm gonna be someone that she looks up to, and it's so crazy. Like I've never looked at it that way. If it happens, amazing. Mm-hmm. I think I remember telling her mom one time, it was like, you know, I was like, it's so funny. I was like, my philosophy as a parent. And it 100%, like you said, it has to do with the way I was raised and the I guess void that was left. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Left. I think for me, I told her mom, I was like, I don't care if Aribella grows up and thinks that I was mean. She didn't like the way I raised her. If she, you know, grows up to resent me, the one thing that she will not be able to say is that I wasn't there. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that's all that matters. Mm-hmm. It's like, I know that, you know, when I was young, I disagreed with the way my parents did things. You know what I mean? And I'm sure there's going to come points where she's like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's okay. And that's fine. That's okay. And I think, you know, I'm mature enough to hear that. Mm-hmm. And when she gets older, have a response, you know what I mean? Yeah. And be like, I understand where you're coming from. At that moment, this was my mentality, and this is why I handled things the way I did. And, you know, if there is moments where, like, I have to apologize, even now, you know what I mean? There's times where I've handled things in a way that I wish I would have done differently, and she's voiced that, and she's been like, hey, I didn't like the way you spoke to me, or I didn't like the way that you.
She's old enough to speak like that.
Yeah,
Wow.
she's gonna be 5 next month.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, she's a little genius.
Wow.
Yeah, it was so funny. She was like, she's like, I didn't like the way that made me feel, and I was like, well, I'm sorry. My intention wasn't to hurt your feelings. This is what Daddy was trying to do. So and we're gonna have our disagreements and our fair share of things that we don't see eye to eye on, but like I said, I always told her, I was like, the one thing she won't ever be able to say is that I wasn't there.
And that's probably one of the most important things is keep consistent, because as your kid grows up, the way you are a parent grows up, because if she's 2 years old, you've only been a parent for 2 years. When she's 10, you've been a parent for 10 years, right? And obviously she's changed and things. So if you're consistent all throughout, that shows like strength, and especially you being her father, because your daddy, that shows the type of man she is like, it will be, the one she should like, accept, right? She's not going to get no low life idiots and stuff like, look at the way you are. She has you as an example. She's not going to like get anything lower than that. So you're building somebody of value, and even then they recognize that themselves. And so, no, like, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a beautiful thing, man. Yeah. So,
no, I appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate those kind words. I'm surprised I kept it together this entire time, because when I talk about her,
I wouldn't have kept it together. I probably shed a tear if I had a baby.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was shedding a lot of tears, just keeping them in. Yeah. It's just, it's, like I said, I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed to have her, and she's been an amazing first child, and fortunately there's a lot more in the future. I love being a dad. I think being a dad has been the biggest blessing of my life. To be honest, like, and I'm not the first person to say this. I've heard somebody say this, but it is so true. When I became a parent, my capacity for love changed. It grew. You know what I mean? Like, I thought I knew what it meant to love and to care and to appreciate something or someone. But when I became a parent, I think like my capacity for empathy and love significantly grew. And I stopped looking at people as adults initially. I started looking at them as like, oh, you were a baby at one point. And somewhere along the way, you got to where you're at. You know what I mean? And somewhere along the way, whether you grew up to be resentful or make poor decisions or whatever the case may be, like, things happened along the way that either allowed you to feel like this was the only option for you, or has allowed you to become bitter like that. And it's allowed me to have a lot more empathy with people, because, I realized like, oh, like, I've seen her grow, you know what I mean? And I've seen her develop, and I'm like, we all go through that, and we all go through that, and at some point we have a choice, you know what I mean? Like, we grow up and we start making our own choices, and we have to become self-aware, and sometimes people make poor decisions that become self-destructive, and like we talked about, it's such a interesting thing to ponder, the psychology of like people going through the same experience, but having different perspectives, or choosing to go about it a different way. You know what I mean? Like, you and your siblings were raised by the same parents. You know what I mean? Like me and my siblings were raised by the same parents. We were in the same situations, in the same household. And when we talk, sometimes like our perspectives are different. We all ended up having a different experience and all that, and our philosophy was different. You know what I mean? The way we navigated things was different. The way we chose to spend our time in high school, and the things that we decided to pursue.
Even now, the music you listen to, the food you like. It's interesting. And to keep speaking on that, if one were to be like an alien, right, and looking at this planet, right, and you see humans growing up, right? If you were to just break it down to rudimentary to what it is, the philosophy that one goes through, we all are kids, we turn into teenagers and adults, but through that, your perception of your life changes. Like you just said right now, when you became a parent, that's when your capacity for love, your understanding of it changed. Right? And that event is what caused it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's interesting to see if an alien were to see this, all humans kind of go through the same arc, but the angle in which we go through this arc is all different.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why I have grown a love for people, because every single one of those arcs, every one of those angles, is a different experience, right? There's different things there.
Yeah.
There's a philosophy there, you know, there's something there, and it's really interesting to see people kind of go through that. And when you really break it down, for the most part, most people tend to have humps and bumps around the same places, on the same areas of life. And it's really cool to see people go this way or go that way. And when you see, generally, people's morals tend to go the same place. We tend to all realize that life is about happiness and love. No one ever says it's about killing and negativity and hate, right? So even though these are emotions we feel in life, and I'm of the one that I believe you need to feel all your emotions, you know, even if you feel sadness and anger, yes, those are negative emotions, but they're not bad.
No.
You need the yin and yang. You need the bad. And I mean, yes, you grow to balance it and understand it. But it's important to develop with it, you know, and understand what these things are and be a good role model and represent, because if everyone goes through these same arcs, one thing you can do for yourself is visualize what your arc is and try to be at a spot where people can look up to, especially when you have kids and now you're living for them.
Yeah.
That should be one of your biggest priorities, is setting that good example, you know, is being that role model and stuff. So I think it's a good mentality to have for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think
philosophy about it.
Something that you had mentioned in regards to like, you know, the arcs and everything, it really resonated with me in the sense that, like, I have no idea where I was going with this sentence.
Happens to me a lot,
bro. Yeah,
that's the thing with philosophy, is so component based.
Yeah,
there's times where that one word is what you need to explain what you're saying, or that's that word that builds the bridge to where everything else comes. But it's such a mental exercise. And that's why if you go to my place, I have like a bookshelf. I actually have that book, the Win Friends and Influence People. And next to it I have Marcus Aurelius's meditations little booklet. I also have some Eastern philosophy, like the Book of Five Rings. What's that samurai one, The Art of War, I think. And those stories, like, those are more like military book style, because they talk about the enemy and armies. But like, when you really break down the principle, it's all about how you carry yourself, your attitude.
You literally just said something that brought back what I was trying to say. You said the enemy, and then it reminded me of what you had said about like sadness and anger, and that was like, it was like, these are negative feelings, but they're not bad.
They're not your
enemy.
Yes,
and I agree. And that was that. Yes, thank you. That was crazy how I was, like you said, that link that put it back together.
It's philosophy.
It was like one of those things where I agree. It's like. And that's one thing that I always try to, you know, I try to instill in Aribella, and also I try to tell other people, is that I think I've realized from a lot of conversations that I've had with individuals that they have a fear of expressing those emotions because no one has allowed them to feel that, or no one has told them, like, it's okay. It's okay to be upset.
Because the settings in which you express those emotions tend to be attributed with bad situations. You don't get mad in a good way. You know? You get mad because something bad happens, you know? And so it's important to, it's good to, I don't want to say good to feel that, but it's important to feel that. Because then you can learn how to shape yourself and balance yourself. Because if you don't really put a lot of thought into it, the type of character you are, you might blindly be this person, a bitter person, you know? You never reflect on it. You're like, that's how I am.
There's no self-awareness.
And then when people meet you, like, they get a perception on you, and it's like, whoa, this is not what I am, though. And so, like, well, maybe some of these things are what's speaking volumes about yourself, even though you don't know it's what's speaking volumes about yourself.
Absolutely.
It's important to understand that.
That was the way you said that was very well said. I agree. I think that the thing is, you know, when you're upset, when you're sad, allowing yourself to go through that, like you said, because if you just suppress that or act like that's really not happening, then you're lying to yourself, and you're not being truthful. You know what I mean? Because
you could be building a bubble, and one day it's gonna burst, and who knows how that's gonna come out.
Exactly. And the thing is, you know what I mean? It's kind of like self-inflicting if you lie to yourself. You know what I mean? Like if you lie to other people, then you're a liar. You know what I mean? Like you just lie. But when you lie to yourself, like now you're doing something to yourself that isn't necessary. You know what I mean?
You're opposing yourself. You're like an enemy to yourself.
Exactly. You're not, because the thing is, like, it's okay to sit there and be like, wow, that situation really frustrated me. You don't have to be like, oh no, that didn't bother me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care. You know, it's okay to be like,
there's no like it's okay to feel, I guess, this self-embarrassment. It's good because you got to process that. Because if you ignore it and you belittle it, you know, you're not really understanding that. And that's not it's not wisdom.
No, it's not. And I think it's smart to deal with those in real time, you know, because like you said, if not, they start building poor habits or poor character traits that in the long term, you don't even realize that you do it, or you don't even realize that you're doing it. And now people start having a perception of like, oh, that's how this individual is. I was like, oh, well, that wasn't my intention. I was like, well, that's because you never dealt with your anger and frustration all those years ago when you kept saying, no, I'm fine. No, it's not that big of a deal. No, it was a big deal.
It was a big deal.
And it's okay to admit that. And it's okay to be like, no, that hurt me and that bothered me. And I got to deal with it. But that's the thing, is that you're going to persevere. You know what I mean? Like you're going to get through it, but it's okay to be like, I'm sad. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you go through life and I think it's so difficult sometimes because it's so hard for me to like hide my feelings and emotions. So when I'm not going through things, or like, you know, times are tough and somebody asks me like, hey, how's it going? It is so difficult because I'm just like, what do I say?
Exactly. You can't like have this social face, you know, to like keep your, you know, who you are, but it's like, you know, you're so real with yourself, is you self-reflect that. It's like a mirror. You gotta be real with others, you know, and that's just who you are, you know?
Cause like, you know, people ask like, cause there's been so many times like I go into work, right? And Ruben's like, hey, how's it going? I'm like,
And I get where you're coming from because like it's work. It's not the place for that. And that's where you come from. But also like, it's one of those things that, you know, it's fine. It's fine. It's like, you keep doing that. Who knows where the line is until you yourself start believing it. And then it's like, oh, it's fine, you know, because people are going to care about you. You know, I bet Ruben's like, hey man, if something's wrong, you talk to me, you know.
Oh, he's the best. And that's why I'm so like, you know, I feel very comfortable because I know like, and it's so funny because I think he knows me pretty well at this point that, you know, by my response, he already knows. You know what I mean? Like,
he knows like how bad it is.
Exactly. By the time I walk in, he's already like, how's it going? And I'm like, we just look at each other, and he was like,
it's that type of day.
You already know. Because usually, like, and then because like other days, like if I walk in like in a good mood, usually because I'm walking out, I'll be the first one to be like, hey, how's it going? Or like, good morning or whatever. But like if I walk in, I don't say anything, and I get to my desk, he's like, we good? I'm like, we'll be all right. Yeah, I mean, like, so it's just, it's one thing that I have learned though, that I will say, like, in this season of my life is difficult to navigate, and you know, I'm trying to get better at it, is recognizing who you can be emotionally open with, you know what I mean, and who is going to like try to take advantage of that.
Yeah, that's important because you don't want to put that on someone that could take advantage of it.
That could manipulate it. That could take advantage. That could use it to benefit them from you. You know what I mean? And I think that has been something that I have had to learn, or I'm still learning, is when is the give and take. You know what I mean? Is like, who can I entrust this information with, and know that they are not going to use it against me, and or like they can actually provide help in this situation. You know what I mean? And I think that has been a challenge, because there's been times where I communicate something to someone and in a way, in good faith, and recognize like, oh, this person, I opened up myself emotionally to someone, and you can recognize like, oh, they don't care. Like they don't care. They really didn't have a desire.
It's not as important to them.
Yeah,
as
you know what I
to
mean.
you.
Like they don't recognize that this was something that took a lot of courage for me to talk about with you and or like articulate. You know what I mean? And so it's been a balance for sure. Learning who those individuals are that you can have those conversations with, and who you need to, you know, protect yourself from.
Yeah.
In the sense of like, you know, like not everybody is entitled and or worthy of knowing you on that level. You know, like you have to be.
No, it's good thing you say that, because it shows that you know your self-worth, you know what you bring to the table, and you're not willing to just accept bullshit on the other side. It's like, no, I have this, what I'm bringing, like it's worth something. And you know your worth, so that's why you're not willing to put up with any other bullshit and stuff like that. It's interesting you say that, because I think there's no answer right to that, and you're constantly going to always do that. Every new person is a challenge. You say, okay, is this person, I guess you can say it, worthy of my trust? But I think when one says it like that, worthy of your trust, it's like, okay, it's on them, right? It is us too, because when one starts a conversation with someone or meets somebody, you know yourself and you're coming at it from one perspective, right? What's to say, why can't you look at the light coming from above on top of both of you guys, right? Why it's really hard to not judge people. And I say judge a very hard way. I guess perception would be another one. But if I see I see a person and they're short, my brain is not going to tell me that they're tall, right? It's going to tell me that they're short. Now, does that affect how I treat this person? No, it shouldn't. But it does affect my perception about them, right? And that's something we can't escape. Every human's going to do it. Every human is going to do it maybe a lot or maybe a little bit. You know, you don't know if every human is going to approach the situation like we are. We're talking about it. We're creating a philosophy, a formula as to how we would go about it. Most people just do it blindly. And so when it comes to those situations and you find someone, you have talked to them enough to build those relationships, and you can say, hey, I trust you. I think that serves a lot for you and for the other person. It's like the light on top of both of y'all as opposed to one of y'all. If one were to take that trust and make it in a selfish way and see how I get out of it, you're looking at it from one light as opposed to, say you were like, hey, I want to do this project. I don't know how to use the camera very well. Can you do it for me? Sure. You trust that I'm going to do it for you, right? And I shouldn't just use this trust and half-ass it. I should use this trust and be like, okay, how can I give you something good? Because you're asking me to do something for you. All right, let me give you something fucking good. I don't want to give you something, you know, a shitty cheeseburger. I want to give you the best goddamn cheeseburger you've had. And so let me do this for you. You know, that's when, like, okay, that trust is a benefit to me because I get to help you with something, and if maybe down the line you will help me with something, but also I use this opportunity to be like, okay, how do we make this shot interesting? How do we make this better than just good, you know? And I feel like not a lot of people will approach situations like that. But if you do and you kind of break down things, you start to like see how we can all benefit from one another, you know? And when you think like that, the idea of like screwing people over or backstabbing them or getting this, you know, something from you and just taking it from me, it starts to be you start to see it as like not a reason to go, not a pathway to go down. Because like, why be this way when you can be that way? And the benefits in this way are just more better, and you're open, you know? So the people that choose this other route, which there are millions of people that choose this other route, it's one that when you kind of break it down as to why you chose that route to begin with, is like, these things, like, you really got to make an effort to fix it, right? Because I can't just take that and just like forgive you, you know, unless you show some sort of effort, you know, something to like regain that trust.
The reconciliation process.
There's a big sacrifice with trust. If I put my trust in you, it's like I'm risking myself getting hurt, whether that's in a business situation or, you know, a girlfriend, boyfriend, or like I was saying, just trusting you to film with the camera is like, you know, it takes a little bit of me to do that, but I think it's worth it. You know, especially in a relationship, you got to trust that person, even though you know if they screw you over, it's gonna break your heart. You have to still do that. You have to put that on the line because that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
You know, it's worth it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know. And
yeah, I agree. I think you know, I think that's the one. About. That's the one thing that I keep. I'm grateful that my heart hasn't been hardened. You know what I mean? In the sense that, like, you know, I know that there's been times where people have taken advantage of the trust that I've given them, or, you know, the information that I've provided, and it's like, you know, you can't impart that on everybody else. You know what I mean? Like, that has to be a isolated situation. You know what I mean? You can't go into every relationship or every conversation thinking that, oh, this person's gonna react and or treat me the same way somebody else did. So yeah, it's nice.
Those are false expectations.
Yeah, it's a false expectation, and it also it's definitely a practice that you have to do to not allow yourself to get hardened, because it's easy after like several times of being like, yo, why the fuck do people always like take advantage of my kindness or my generosity, or don't recognize that I'm trying to work with them in this situation? It's like, it'd be easy to be like, you know what, I'm not opening
Screw
up.
That.
Yeah, I'm not opening
and you
up.
just become hard.
Yeah.
And one could look at that and be like, whoa, Chris was learning from his experiences. He was actually good, but everyone else was being bad. It's like, whoa, but if that's the way you want to look at it, right? Or you can be more internal about it and look at it the way we're talking about. And that's when you get to the truth, you know, that's when you get to like, okay, this is the thing that's causing that, you know, because a lot of the times people can be assholes. I know a lot back in my hometown in Houston, there were so many people that would lie and steal from you. They fake friendly and shit. And they just talk to you in a way to get you on the good side. That way they can take advantage of you. And I want to be a person like you, like open generosity. I want to be cool. I want to say truth. You know, I don't want to be up here like speaking lies. That's not the type of person I want to carry myself as. But there's people in life that will abuse that and take advantage of that and stuff like that. So it's important to like you said, be careful of who you give that to, because you don't want that to turn against you and you turn into like someone that's hard, because all these people have shown you that, and you let the bad beat the good. Yeah. When you just got to keep the good as constant as you can, you know? Yeah. And that's not always easy.
No, I agree. Yeah, I think,
it's not always easy.
You know, one of the, when you're talking about that, it reminds me of two things. Cause you had mentioned that it's like, I don't want to be somebody who's like, who takes and manipulates and just like is looking out for my own self-interest. And, there's a philosopher named Immanuel Kant who spoke about that in the sense that like we should, one of his categorical imperatives was, you never use somebody as mere means, which means that like you don't use people just for your own benefit. You know what I mean? Like, you need to take their interests and their goals and their aspirations into consideration as well. Because one of his big philosophical arguments was, is there ever a good point to lie? Like, is lying ever morally permissible? And that's where, and then he used, you know, using people as mere means as an example for why it's not. You know what I mean? Gotcha. Because if you're lying, it's mainly to either protect you or protect somebody else. And in that situation, somebody is being violated or abused. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, you never know how the scenario is going to play out. So you could lie thinking you're benefiting someone, where in reality you just made a consequence even worse or made the result worse. You know what I mean? So it's like, it was like, it's just one of those things that I've always tried to remember, is like, you know what I mean? Like, when I'm going through life and doing things, like you're never going to use somebody as mere means. You know what I mean? You're not going to look at somebody as like, oh, I can benefit from this friendship solely for my benefit, you know what I mean? Or like I'll I mean,
that's just nasty. Exactly, you know? Like, just to say that, you know? And I think people that they inevitably are like that, they don't say it out loud, because if you
nobody's gonna exactly.
If you recognize that, you're not gonna continue doing
exactly it, right? You know what I mean? It has to be
like just their attitude, their actions, their behavior. That's probably the best way to say it. Their behavior. But it's good to hear it, you know, because some people could be acting like that, and they just need that little wake up, you know, to like, oh shit, you know, I kind of am like that. I kind of do take advantage, and their relationships, their friendships are all just, it's not gonna go forward. It's gonna go
And innately, I feel like innately we have a proclivity to be like that. You know what I mean? Like you watch kids and no kid willingly thinks about someone else first. That's something you have to teach. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times kids would be like, oh, I want to play with that first, without recognizing like, oh, how about I let my friend play with it first and then I'll play with it second.
Like sharing.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's very challenging. It's not our innate desire or
it's a social skill.
It's something that you develop and you have to grow and practice. You know what I mean? Like innately children want to do things themselves. They want it for them. You know what I mean? And it is something that you have to instill in them and recognize like, oh no, how about, you know, you both want to play with it, let your friend play with it first.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's actually fun if you see them play with it.
Yeah.
They enjoy it just as much as you do.
Yeah.
Right? As opposed to just me.
Yeah.
You know? So.
Yeah, in the moment, the kid's not gonna find it fun.
Yeah. In the moment, you got to go through those hardships. You know?
Yeah.
And when you go through it as a kid with the toys, it's like, you know, he's in the playground of this emotions. Yeah. When he gets to an adult and he's actually in the, you know, big pool, it's like, okay, he'll be able to deal with it.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, I think it's been really refreshing having these conversations and dissecting a lot of these things because
I didn't know you were so interested in philosophy. That's definitely something new I learned from you.
Yeah.
I know it was something you kept, right?
Yeah.
But for you to like know these philosophers' names and even quote them and stuff like that, I have a couple of their books. It's like the extra mile.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's like I said, it was something that I've been passionate about, and like I said, I don't like small talk. You know, I really enjoy conversations like this, you know, sit down to get to know somebody and learn about them on a personal level. You know what I mean? Like I saw this meme and it was like fuck, you know, going to get coffee and chat. It was like, take me out to the stars and we can talk about our souls. You know what I mean? It was like, bro, that's so me, dog. Like I want to know your soul. You know what I mean? Like I want to know you, like what who you are, which is another.
That's like a fucking Tumblr post, bro.
Yeah, Tumblr is crazy.
Like
It's hilarious.
Shit.
Yeah, no, it's like stuff like that. I eat it up, bro. I'm like, hell yeah.
I know what you mean. Like, just, fuck doing the simple shit. Tell me what like wakes you up. What's your like deepest truth?
Yeah, like what's the thing that you regret the most, bro? Like, you know, what's your goals and aspirations? I think that's another thing that you know, is very interesting. Your pool of friends and or people who share the same mindset obviously becomes very limited when you have like these types of perspectives, at least from my experience, because, you know, another thing that I'm very big on is like scheduling and prioritizing things and having a plan. You know what I mean? I don't like going into things
being unprepared.
Yeah, that's a perfect way of saying it. I don't like that. I get very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It makes sense. There's a lot of things on the line, you know?
Yeah.
And you know, when it comes to filming, a lot of the times things just take up a lot of time.
Yeah.
Oh shit, we're like 2 hours behind schedule and stuff. You don't want to find yourself in that situation if you can plan for it, right?
Yeah.
If you can get all these pre-production things. I guess speaking of film, like you can do all these things and say, okay, I'm ready. All I have to do is show up there and get to work, you know? Yeah. Whether it's like film or something else. I'm like that too. I like to be prepared mentally, at the very least. Yeah. Mentally with what I'm about to do.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Yeah. I think at times it turns people off because like it's just in most aspects of my life it's like that, and I think sometimes people can be like, you're just overbearing. Yeah, at times it's like, but it's just, I don't know, it's just the way it works for me. You know what I mean? Like it's the way I have to do things, whether it's, you know, my gym routine or whether it's, you know, setting stuff up with Aribella and her mom on like how we're going to navigate things during the week. You know what I mean? Like whether she's going to be with her or she's going to be with me, you know, school schedule, you know what I mean? Film, whatever it is, I'm very meticulous in knowing like, okay, this is how the day is going to go. And obviously like things happen and things change and that's fine. You got to be able to adapt and you know, change with the wind and all that, you know what I mean? Change course. But I like going into the day or going into something with a plan. Like, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to, you know, we're going to strive to get up at this time and make sure that this happens. And we're going to make sure we go to the gym at this time and lunch. And then, you know.
Okay. Now that you explain this, let me ask you this then. how do you see yourself? You're more of someone that goes with the flow?
Nope.
Or so it's 100%
at all.
So
I am not a go with the flow type of person.
Let me ask you this. Say tomorrow, Sunday, you had the whole day off, right?
Uh-huh.
Could you go to bed without thinking about what you're going to do the next day?
No.
Don't think about anything.
No.
Don't think, well, what time are you going to wake up? What are you going to eat? Whether your daughter's going to be with you or not? Gym, anything.
No.
I'm going to just wake up and, okay, time to get the day started.
No.
No?
No. No, I can't. I wish.
Then you are meticulous.
Yeah.
You get a sense of security from knowing what's going to happen next.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think yeah, I don't operate like that, and sometimes I wish I did. You know what I mean? To be honest with you, there are times where I wish I could just go to sleep and not worry about what I'm gonna do the next day, and ultimately just have an empty slate on the schedule, and be okay with that. But it is so difficult. I don't know. I think I've just gotten to a point in my life where productivity is probably, and maybe this is like a horrible way of looking at it, or at least like navigating things, but at least for me, productivity is not the most important thing, but very important. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to go into a day or feel like I went to a day and it wasn't productive. You know what I mean? Like, I think for me, I think that's where it comes from. It's just like making sure that every day I'm intentional, and every day things are getting done to progress my goals, my future, my aspirations. But I also understand the other side, where it's like there's an argument to be had that, maybe a productive day is to just relax and just enjoy existing. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to find that balance.
It's interesting you say that. I'm gonna say an analogy.
Yeah.
It might not fit at first, but it fits really well. So when I was younger, I had a little dog named Chuchis, and he's a dog, right? Dirty as hell. And my mom always cleaning up after him, even to the point where he would get something dirty, clean, extra, right?
Yeah.
So if he gets it dirty, it's not as dirty as the first time.
Yeah.
It's halfway dirty. You know what I'm saying? She cleans all the time. And so I asked my mom, I was like, ¿te gusta limpiar? Like, do you like cleaning? You clearly do. And she's like, no, I hate it. I always have to clean. I always have to like do this stuff and stuff and whatnot. And I was like, no, I don't think so, because even though you say that, you always do it. You always clean. Yeah. So like, if I didn't know you, I would assume you like to clean, right? And so that's her way of doing things. She loves it, right?
Yeah.
Even though she says she doesn't, right? And so I feel like one good way to define what you were saying right here, because you were saying how some people might not agree with it, how you see productivity. I think of it like, to me, it seems like for you, productivity is fun.
Yeah.
It's just fun.
Yeah.
You like knowing what you're going to do the next day. And I do get the sense that, that sense of, mystery and like, you know what, I'm going to just have tomorrow be a sporadic day. Yeah. Because you escape from your custom. You escape from what you do on the daily, right? But I think you just like being meticulous. You like being prepared. It gives you that sense of security, and it allows you to be much more, to put your mind on other things. Yeah. Because if you weren't that way, you would be more occupied. Okay, how am I going to do this? What am I going to do that? But then what if she comes, and then what gets in the way? And then my gym. So it's like, it's what works for you, you know? And I think for you to say productivity is fun, it seems like something that would go along with what you say.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a quote where it's like, and I love this quote. It says, "Fall in love with the process, not the outcome." And I think that's where, that's me. I love the productivity. You know what I mean? 1-to-1
for sure.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like every day, doing it, going through the challenges, and like getting stuff done is, it's what brings me fulfillment. Yeah, you know what I mean? But I think if I'm being honest with you, I think I'm also wrestling with that in so much that I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if that's the right mentality to have 24/7. You know what I mean? It's a
balance. You gotta have a balance.
I think finding a balance is important, and I feel like I have a good balance of what I have a good balance with is that, like I said, when things don't go as planned, I can manage that, and I can navigate that. What I don't like is when it doesn't go as planned because someone else didn't prepare. Okay. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Like if the reason it didn't go as planned is because, hey, everybody prepared and everybody had it scheduled, but unfortunately there was an accident, or the power's out, or whatever situation, somebody got sick, you know what I mean, your kid threw up before you left, like there's thousands of reasons that something could have happened that takes that
just ruins everything,
that ruins whatever the plan was. But if it was because of negligence, in the sense that like you didn't plan accordingly, that to me that becomes a little frustrating.
No, it makes sense. There's something to blame there, right? Yeah. The power goes out, it's raining, you can't control that. Yeah. But if it's because someone overslept or someone, oh man, I forgot, then it's like, okay.
I forgot is gonna make me like delete your number. like on God, you're dead to me. On God, bro. Like if you oversleeping will not even do that. Like if you, I understand. Like you overslept. You text me, I forgot, bro.
That's today, bro. My bad. That's the one I hate. That's today. I know you heard that one.
Anything like that along those lines, I'm going to lose my shit, bro. Like, you overslept. I get it. You didn't hear your alarm, whatever the case may be. Like, that's understandable.
My bad.
But you tell me, like, you know what I mean? Like, you tell me, like, I forgot. Like, dog, delete my number, dog. For real. Like, well, that was today. Yeah, anything like that, I'm gonna be living. I have a cousin. I love this dude. I love him to death. But I guess at this point, like, I've gone and done so many things with him, like I already know. So it's like
you already know how he is.
I already know how he is. Yeah. So if we make plans at 6, I'm never getting there at 6.
Yeah, you get in there at 8.
I already know, that he's not getting there till 7.
That's funny.
You know what I mean? So it's like but and it kills me because, like I said, I'm so. It's like, hey, we said 6, bro. Why are we not there at 6? You know what I mean? If you wanted to meet at 7, why didn't you say 7? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because then if he's like, all right, if I say 6, but I really mean 7, that gives me till 8 though, because he's thinking 7. You know what I mean? So like you can buy yourself your own time,
Yeah.
But he's like, nah, it's just me. You know? Like, I'll be. He hasn't learned how to deal with you. You had to learn how to deal with him.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and I think, but like I said, like outside of that, like we have an amazing relationship, and I think like he's the best. Like very, very caring, loving. I love him, but yeah, that's the one thing that time. Punctuality does not exist with this man. It's funny.
And it always be like the people that like closest to you, most important people sometimes that like you don't abandon them, they're gonna be with you forever.
Yeah, of course.
And so it's like you just gotta have to learn how to do it and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's like and it's interesting because I don't think anybody else in my family is like that to that extent. Mm-hmm. I know my mom definitely not anymore. Like now she is very much like
on time.
I'm saying like she's not very meticulous or scheduled. She's just very much like I will get done today what I get done today. You know what I mean? Like she's like not in a rush, not in a in a panic. She's like very much go with the flow. So it is challenging at times because like when you're with family but I guess like I would say probably during the holidays is when I have learned to just do that, because
that makes sense.
It has stressed me out so much throughout the years to like plan things, and everybody else is like, I don't really like, you know what I mean? Like, if it happens, it happens. You know what I mean? I'm like, no, bro, I'm not making a whole itinerary, and then we talk about
not to happen,
and then everybody be like, it happens. But if you send me, if you send me an itinerary, we're best friends. Like if we have plans to go do something and you send me an itinerary, bro, we're gonna have the time of our life.
Just the right people match.
Literally. Yeah.
That's funny. You know what? It's funny you say that because I can be like that a lot of the times where it's like, if it happens, it happens. You know? There's times where I feel so strongly about something that I do take the very methodical approach because I'm like, okay, I really want to be careful with this, and I care about how everything is like set. So, but I do find I feel like I have a good work ethic to life balance because when it comes to work ethic stuff, I'm very much like that.
Yeah.
I don't like to get into something specifically with film because almost all the projects I've done, I'm the one organizing it, finding everything. I'm kind of the one creating everything. Yeah. And so I like to make sure that I'm not going to be screwed over because, oh, fuck, I forgot that. Now everything else kind of went to shit because of it. I don't want to kind of build myself a hole like that. So I'm so meticulous. I even text like, hey, are we good for everything? Like kind of you texting me, right?
Yeah.
And stuff. That's the meticulous side of you speaking.
Yeah.
And then there's other times, for example, it's like, okay, tomorrow's an off day. You know, let's go to Six Flags. Boom, that's it. That's the only objective.
Yeah, we're going to get to Six Flags.
Anything there? Okay, you guys bored? You want to leave? You want to get pizza here? You want to go to over there? You want to get what's gonna happen? Whatever. You know, I'm down for anything. You know, it's good to balance it like that too, for sure. There's times where it's hard because I want to be meticulous, but I'm not the only one deciding in the group. Yeah, you know, it's like a friend thing.
Exactly.
So then I'm like, I'm just gonna like. Yeah, choose the situation and lay back, or be the one leading it. So it's kind of like a balance, you know.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, when it's a group, but when it's event, a good thing, it's very challenging. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. This has been a lot of fun, bro. I think we're running out of space. So
no, I'm glad, dude. I appreciate you bringing me on.
Absolutely.
Actually, before it ends, I wanted to show you the gift.
Okay.
That I have. So I'm glad I saw these. You have these little Marvel kind of comic things.
Oh yeah.
I like comic books.
Yeah.
I'm a Marvel guy, so. I brought you a little something.
I appreciate it, bro. Thank you. If
you want to open that up. It's 2 comics. They're Marvel comics from the 80s. It's a Spider-Man copy and a Wolverine copy.
I love it, bro.
Yeah.
This is much appreciated, dude.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you so much for coming, bro.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm glad. I had a great time.
I learned a lot being on your set for your directing film. No, you're good, bro. It was a lot of fun. I took a lot away. And congratulations on all your success, bro. I think winning best film this semester, I'm sure it meant a lot and really like allowed you to take a step back and be like, wow, like all the work I put in was recognized, and you know it's obviously nice when the audience appreciates and recognizes your work as something valuable. Yeah. So
no, it feels a lot. It's definitely a good feeling. Yeah. Like I said before, it's more ammo, more fuel.
Yeah.
And I will say this, you with your project coming up, I'm glad you kind of see it like that, you know, because you're going to go up against your own circumstances and stuff like that. You're going to have a bunch of issues, challenges. Yeah. But like knowing how you think, you're going to get past that, you know, and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
The best thing I can say for your upcoming, your short, communication is the ultimate thing that you can deliver to your team.
Yeah.
If you can communicate your vision, that's gonna go a long way. You know, communication is the biggest thing as a director. And, now I'm excited for yours, dude. I'm so excited.
I appreciate it, bro.
You kind of setting up a good momentum for it. Yeah. So keep building that.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like nice we have a great team. We have, you know, like you said, momentum, trying to, like, we've already, like, been, like, the semester starts on Tuesday.
You guys already started.
And we've been working
you already have the story.
Yeah.
You know?
So I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for Robert. He's been a great resource. Professor Will Underwood, he's also been a great resource. And everybody on the team, you know, I'm just grateful because, like I said, it's nice to see people come beside you and be like, hey, let's get this done.
Yeah.
But
nice.
Thank you so much, bro. I really appreciate the gift, and thank you so much for coming, man.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.